You're watching Poindexter Lounge. You already know. You're watching Poindexter Lounge for the unity.
What's up, nerd family? Welcome once again to the Poindexter Lounge. My name is Enosh, aka Enosh Fett, and it is good to have you all with me in the lounge tonight. Oh, it's going to be a fun one for sure. We are so glad to have you. Hey, call your mama, call your grandma, call your daddy, call your mother-in-law. Tell her, hey, you know what? We got 2 Rays. We got dos Rays tonight on the show, and they're the big ones, and so you're going to want to be a part of it. They're going to want to be a part of this. Call your neighbor, yell out your window right now, hey, members of the Justice League and Apocalypse are here tonight. We are literally crashing the universes together, and you're a part of it. So hey, welcome. Before I bring in my special guests tonight, I do want to just say this. Tonight is part of a special day called the #UsUnited fundraiser for the AFSP for suicide prevention. And so you will notice I'm very excited because the last time we had Ray Fisher on, we were trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. Now we're just a few away from 11,000. But we were trying to get to 10,000 and to get this giving button. And now we've got that giving button. So it's right there. So it's all made simple. It's all made easy. We don't even have to do anything. All you have to do is hit that button. And I see that some of you have already found it because there has already been $70 donated before we even went on. And so thank you so much. 100% of that money goes straight to the AFSP. And so we want to make a difference in people's lives. It's one of the things that I love about this fandom. It's one of the things that I love about all of you is the way that you have all come together, not just for a movie, not just because of a fandom, but really to make a difference in some people's lives. And that's great. And that's a positive thing. And you all should be commended for it. And that's why I'm commending you for it. That's pretty simple, right? But hey, tonight is going to be a great night. My guests tonight on the show are, yes, Ray Fisher and Ray Porter. And it's going to be fun. So hello to everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. But before that, I want to bring in my lovely co-host. You know her. You love her. The lovely Tifftastic. Hello, Tifftastic.
Hello, Enosh Fett.
How are you tonight, babe?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm excited to be talking with both Rays, and excited now that we don't have to hold back because everyone has seen the movie now.
I know. We can just talk about.
Should.
Listen, we have not actually done a spoiler discussion yet, so we get to talk about it the first time because I was saving it. I was like, I really want to go out. I want to talk about it. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff tonight, guys. With both Rays, and so we're looking for Ray Fisher to be. We're going to have to figure out some code for each Ray when they're here. Like that was one thing I hadn't really thought about. Like you,
Darkseid and Cyborg.
You and you, I guess. All right. But ladies and gentlemen, will you welcome once again to the program, to the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, all of existence shall be his and is already. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ray Porter. How are you?
Hello. Hi. Good to see you guys.
How's it going? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. I'm glad that we're having a little bit of time here with you off the bat. Man. Ray, man, I sent you a message on this. It was funny because we watched Zack Snyder's Justice League, but of course we didn't get to start until like 12:30 a.m.
No, I know it was a late night for me too.
Yeah, and so I didn't go to bed. Like I had to jump on and do a little bit of a stream, to just talk about it real quick. But I slept like most of the day the next day, and so I think I finally messaged you maybe on like Tuesday or something like that. And I was just like, man, this was so good.
You made enough speechless.
I'd
give you a standing ovation, but if I did, I'd be at like crotch height, and I don't think anybody wants to see that.
That's good.
So, yeah. But Ray,
wow,
Ray, you, quite frankly, I mean, just one of the greatest villains in any comic book movie.
Thank you very much.
Ever, man. How did it feel? How did it finally feel? I think for both you and Ray Fisher, like this movie was a redemption for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you completely removed from this movie. We saw you do things in this movie that we were all sitting there on the couch.
You're blown away.
Going, who saw this back in 2017 and said nobody wants to see that.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Well, some people's tastes are different from some others. What a journey this has been, this whole thing, I'm constantly reminded when I put on a Darkseid shirt, when I come on something like this, that kind of thing, that I'm here mostly because of the fans.
Yes.
I mean, if it wasn't for the fandom, very likely this would not have been seen. And I certainly wouldn't have been able, so again, it's really, it's been a very humbling time. It is a time full of gratitude, endless gratitude. And the fact that so much money was raised in the run up to the movie for AFSP. Now the movie's out and we're still doing it, which is the best thing ever. So, very proud to be a part of this whole kind of insane, wonderful community of people. Obviously, to have my performance finally seen was incredibly gratifying. To be able to, that's out there now. And I was pleased with the movie as a whole. Pleased is an understatement. I loved the movie. Never mind the fact that I'm in it. It's a brilliant, amazing, incredible movie. It's such an achievement. And I'm so proud to have a part in it. Also, that's the second time I've been in a movie with Billy Crudup.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We didn't interact. We didn't interact on this one. But,
that's true. Yeah.
I was. It came to me in the middle of watching his wonderful scene with Ezra, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm in another movie with Billy Crudup." What? It was, considering everything that everyone went through. I had a chance to speak with Alison Crowe earlier today, and I felt like when I got to see it the second time, I was invited to go see it in IMAX. And I was there with Jay Oliva and a few other people. It was great. Of course, the sound in an IMAX system is unbelievable. But sitting through the end credits and hearing her rendition of Hallelujah and how raw and vulnerable it is, and yet how joyous, to me was a great metaphor for this journey, both personally, but also I think the journey of a lot of, if not all of, the fandom. And to see Ray's performance, which is astonishing, and to see that story being fully told made me so happy as a man, as an actor, and as a fan. It really justice was done.
Yes, it was. And speaking of justice being done, yes, ladies and gentlemen, the man himself, the heart of the film, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Poindexter Lounge once again, Mr. Ray Fisher. Ray!
Hello.
What's up?
Hi, Ray.
Let's go.
For Darkseid. Hello, my friend.
How's it going, Enosh? Thank you for having us. Fantastic. Good to see you again. Ray Porter, you already know.
Hey, man. Once again, we're looking at each other through a Zoom tube.
Is it?
Yes.
I hope you all are doing well. My gosh, I'm sorry I missed the first 13 minutes of the talk, but if you guys just repeat everything you just said verbatim.
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Would you like just the bits where I was talking about you and how wonderful you are in the film?
You sure? I appreciate it.
Oh man, Ray, we were just talking about the fact that, we hadn't even done our spoiler kind of review or talk through yet, because I kind of knew that this was coming, and I'm first of all, I'm excited, not only as a fan, but just, talking with you guys now to be able to, like, the first time that I'm really getting into the meat of some of this stuff. We'll talk about a bunch of different things, but man, to be able to talk about this film finally, after seeing what you guys did in this film. And I was talking about how it's a redemption for so many people. this film is. A redemption for you, Ray Porter. I was joking. We got to figure out a code here. So like we got Ray and Ray. So for Darkseid and Darkseid, I don't know. It's all confusing now.
It's all just messed up. Yes.
But no, seriously, it's such a redemption for you guys, for Zach, for the fans, just for everybody. And we just asked Ray Porter how it felt. I know it's gonna be weird now, right? It's gonna be weird. Middle names, anyone? I don't know.
I mean, you can if you call me Ray Borg. I mean, you can be Ray Side.
There it is.
There you go.
All right.
I like it.
All right.
Perfect.
All right. So Ray Borg, with you, man, with you, how did it finally feel? Like what was your first reaction to be able to see it? You start off the movie, man. You're there right at the beginning. You know, there's not all that time that we had before that, you know, it's like, oh yeah, and Cyborg's in it too. You're right there, man, right in the thick of things. Just kind of walk us through that.
I mean, I was in shock from the reverberations of Superman's shout. I was like, this alone, I mean, tells you so much. Like anybody who hadn't seen Batman, Superman, it's like you're caught up almost instantly. It's like, okay, in a nutshell, Superman's dead. And here's kind of sort of how it happened. I still can't believe that this is actually a thing, right?
Yeah.
Even when they announced last year, you're like, okay, cool. You know, this is going to be a good movie, but how good can it be? It surpassed probably every expectation I had. Because I usually, especially when it comes to stuff that like I'm in, I usually keep my expectations like at an even sort of like lowish even just to be safe. But this is like, it's mind blowing just as a fan of these characters, right? There were points in time where I'm like, I forgot that, like, you know, that I know Ezra. I forgot that I knew Ray. I forgot that I knew Gaul, right? It was like, oh, look at Wonder Woman do this. Look at Batman do that. Like, it's so immersive. It just sucked me in like almost instantly. And I told folks, I was like, you know, I had to pause the film on a couple different points and just like walk away from the screen because I was like so hyped up, right? I'm here in this hotel room, the same one I'm in now, right? Still here in Mississippi. And, you know, the walls aren't the thickest, right? So I'm like, people are hearing me just like shout and scream and just like, go, get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. I probably thought I was going through a bunch of issues in here. You know what I mean? So, you know, it just amazement. I mean, it was cathartic for a lot of reasons. Obviously, there's the redemption factor, right? The aspect of it. Not only for the people making the film, but the characters in the film, which is this weird, very meta, you know, life imitating art, imitating life sort of circle. It's still pretty freaky to me. Yeah, that was my initial reaction, was excitement and just awe. I was in awe of what I was seeing.
I just kept looking at my family. Every time something amazing would happen, which was often. Yeah, you know, like it just got to be the point where it was like, I don't even know if I should even mention it, but I'm going to. And I would look at my family and go, we're watching something that doesn't exist. We're watching something that doesn't exist.
Ray made me buy a new TV for something that doesn't exist.
We had a whole conversation. We were
I took his advice and did it, and then I'm just using that as an excuse now. Ray Fisher told me to do this. So
nice.
Listen, you can write it off. Say, hey, look, it's a work expense.
Exactly.
You're right.
Check the work and all that stuff.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Listen, it's one of those things. I watched it on my iPad for the first time, right? The same one I'm looking at you on right now. And something about the shape of the iPad, like the 4x3 actually fit almost like perfectly in the parameters of what we've got going on.
Oh, nice.
But for anybody else, I was like, listen, you've got to make sure the first time is on the biggest TV you can watch it on and as loudly as you can make it, right? Like it just get this thing blaring. And since then I've watched it. I mean, I've got it going right now, actually.
Yes. Yes.
Justice is indeed gray.
Yes. Yes.
Like you guys interrupted me with your stream. I was watching Clark and Lois.
Oh man. Sorry.
Don't let us keep you from this amazing thing. No, I was responsible for 5 viewings yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Nice. So I mean, because I've had it on in the background. I mean, it's amazing to just have this available now, and the fact that it's okay. So a couple of the early, you know, early reviews that people were trying to drop, and I think trying to get ahead of this thing, because let's just be honest, there's just people who were not happy that this was a thing to begin with. All right, for whatever reason.
I don't know why.
I don't know why.
I could probably take a guess as to a couple.
I'm sure you could regale us with it like another hour and a half.
A comprehensive encyclopedia. Yes.
I mean, you probably know, but we don't.
Oh
wow.
But that being said, I would just say like we look, we just kept watching this thing, and I mean, and then with Justice is Gray, coming out, like I said, there were people who tried to get ahead of this thing and just say, well, it's just the same basic movie.
There's
it's
no
just
way.
and it, I don't get that part, because there's elements that are there, and it was actually quite exciting to kind of see, like, okay, well, this was Zach's or that was Zach's, and then there was a couple parts that I was like, oh, that was Zach's. I'm okay, that's cool, because there were parts that I think people liked. There were these little parts about 2017 that stood out, and we liked them, but it was hard to tell sometimes, like, well, is this, especially if there was something comedic or something, because there was just so much silliness kind of thrown in sometimes, and lighthearted. You have this really serious moment, and then it would transition to something that would totally take you out of it. And so it was really hard to tell sometimes. But watching that, yeah, it's a completely different film. It's a completely different setup. It takes you on a completely different journey.
Yeah.
I would say that for every one of those naysayers, and I've seen a lot of them as well, I've also noticed, and I think it's important to point out, the amount of people who have come forward who have either said, I was wrong, this is amazing.
Yes.
Or that, and I went back and watched BVS and I like it now. So there's been a great many people whose opinions have been changed.
Yes.
About this. On the comedy thing, I do want to point out, it's a damn funny movie.
It is.
There's genuine, good, proper comedy because it's earned in the film. There's very funny things in it too. I didn't see the 2017 release. That's what I'm calling it. And I know that today you had suggested I watch it just for comparison, and I may, now that I've had the feast. I may go back and try that just to kind of, see just how glaring it is, but I didn't want to do it before,
of course,
in a way. And dude, actor to actor, you killed it. Killed it.
I appreciate you saying it, man. I mean, it was a labor of love every single day going in there.
Killed it.
Live and breathe it, man. And the same goes for you. I mean,
Thank
for
you, man.
Darkseid, for a reason. I mean,
Yes.
The biggest, baddest, best, I'm going to go ahead and just say it, across the board, best.
Thank you.
Super villain probably of all time, right?
Thank
like,
you.
It just is what it is.
I did get a hell of an entrance.
Yeah, I mean, come on. What are we talking
Oh, man.
What are we talking about here?
Oh, man.
I don't think you can really. You can't surpass that. You can't surpass that. And to have these villains, but these folks from Apocalypse, right? Because some people may go, well, Darkseid, I actually like his platform. I'd like to see him be able to run things, right? So maybe not a villain. Darkseid and his crew from Apocalypse. I mean, just being able to see like the power dynamic there as well, and to see that. Even amongst the multiverse across all these planets, like people are still squabbling. They're still squabbling over the same sort of things, the same sort of power struggles that we see on our planet here. And the idea that Steppenwolf, right, in talking to Darkseid, says, this world is too separate to be one. Right, this idea of they're not coming together, but clearly neither are the Apocalyptians, because what's his name is on punishment. Steppenwolf's on punishment, so clearly there are issues no matter what universe you come.
And what a master stroke of storytelling that you have this horrible being come down to Earth. He's hard on the Amazonians. He's hard on the horses. And it's like this terrible terrifying, nightmarish thing. And by the end of the film, there's so many people, you see it on Twitter all over the place. Like, I felt so bad for Steppenwolf. I really liked him. Somebody needs, you know what I mean? To me, that's what you want in a villain. That's proper storytelling. You should feel alignment a little bit with a villain because it makes you question things inside yourself. I think it's great storytelling.
Yeah, and shout out to Kieran Hines for pulling
masterful
that off.
Performance.
I see now what he was referring to, because I didn't get a chance to see a lot of the stuff that you and Kieran and Peter ended up doing. And I'd met Kieran at a comic convention at Ace Comic Con, and I remember him saying, it's just something that the 2017 version is just something so different, and he just he couldn't believe it. And so I was like, well, if even Steppenwolf is feeling it in the way that the rest of us are feeling it, like there's got to be something there to it. So
and Peter Guinness's Assad is brilliant, I think.
My God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Look, as a longtime DC fan, okay, who grew up with these characters, who grew up reading these characters in comic books, and then also, I remember, the first time I was exposed to both Cyborg and Darkseid was the old, Superpowers cartoon TV show on Saturday mornings, man, and I would watch that, and that was the first time I ever really understood who Darkseid was and who this character of Cyborg was, and to be able to see you guys bring those characters to life. And then, but to be able to see these other side characters like Desaad and like Steppenwolf and even Granny Goodness. Granny Goodness has become like the topic of conversation for so many people. It's like, what in the world? Like my grandma, she supports the channel, and everybody loves her. She did this little Zack Snyder intro. Yeah. And I love her because, she did her little, I say, yes, release the Snyder cut thing for me. And so like people have been calling her Granny Goodness and stuff, and it just, I don't tell her that there's like an evil connotation with that, but we're okay.
Let her have it.
Exactly. I just let her have it. But to see how you guys, and you guys did something very special too, because you both were not just out there just acting freely, maybe in a costume or something. Ray, you had to do yours as a vocal performance, but also as a motion capture performance. And Ray Porter and Ray Cyborg, you had to do the same. You had this other outfit on, so you weren't able to, to draw from just being able to have like, I've got the Batman suit on and I'm walking around like that, because there's a certain power that I'm sure comes with that, to be able to just put on a Superman costume or a Batman or Wonder Woman costume and walk around and you become that character. Can you guys both explain to me kind of how you guys got into your characters, how you really got into the meat of that, with you're wearing this gray Lycra suit and, and you got these little dots all over you, and Ray Cyborg, why don't you go first? Why don't you explain to us how you got into that as being?
Well, for me, I think, Victor's mindset is one of looking like or being the other, right? So it actually was very fitting that I was the only one of the group that didn't have a real suit, right? And so, I was able to draw off of that a little bit. There's this idea, a little bit of jealousy that I think Victor has of the rest of the crew, that for the idea that because they can take their suits off and he cannot, right? This is something that he's living with in the moment every day. And so that helped. Also finding the physicality for Cyborg, right? Ultimately, what I was going for were these moments of more fluid movement with Cyborg when he's not having to think so hard about what he's doing, right? If you go back to the film, you'll see there's some very rigid moments in which he's moving, and the shoulders, everything is a little bit more forced and heavy. And there are certain moments when he's not paying attention and he's just letting himself be. When he reaches out for his father, right? It's a very fluid and human motion, right? And that sort of takes over. But he's also in this place where if he lets that take over too often, then we've got issues with Rocket flying at Superman, right? Not being able to control what it is that he's got going on. So depending on the scene and depending on where he's at mentally was where I was trying to put him physically, the sort of rigidity in some scenes, fluidity in others. And also just pretending like you are the biggest, baddest thing in the room, knowing full well you are not. It's like full on like the king's, the emperor's new clothes. So, it's just trusting and hoping that the VisFX folks would do what we clearly saw them do with this film, which is make you look awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was even wondering that though too, is because again you had on that Lycra suit, and there was like a saunter that you had when you wore that suit. I mean, at least like the way that you looked when you were walking in the movie, it was like you had this like strut to you, like the way that you had to. And I was wondering the same thing, being in a Lycra suit, not wearing that.
Yeah.
Per se, it was there with a certain
it was a
way
bit
about
tough.
you.
Whenever you see me carrying that mother box in the movie, just imagine that mentally I'm going, man, this is heavy. Man, this is heavy. That mother box was like, first it was awkwardly shaped. It's a cube, right? But having to hold it out and away from the body created a lot of just like weird tension that you're just like, yeah, this is, can we get this take done? Gotta be cool in the moment, but I'm also struggling over here. All right.
We're gonna need one more, Ray. We're gonna need one more.
Yeah.
We're gonna need one more.
In the Star Lab scene where Cyborg's carrying that mother box like all over the place. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, this is what we've been training for. So that was one of the hardest of the physicality sort of things, is pretending that heavy things aren't heavy, which is much more difficult than I think people know.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Ray? Because I mean, you had double duty there with vocal and.
Yeah, I mean, it was you know, I did a little bit of mocap at first with Kieran. That was in the black Lycra suit with the magic reflective balls, you know, and so the landing and the hand going through the earth and then swinging. In my case, it was a broomstick, you know, weapon at the ground and doing all that. And then a lot of vocal stuff. But then when it came time for Peter and Kieran and I to all shoot together, we were in the same sort of very strange, it looks like a early Star Trek military uniform. It's kind of tan with these, with a cross piece of like black and white dots. You have the same suit.
That was
yeah.
me.
Yeah. It's a very weird little suit, but, you know, comfy, thank God. But we were doing face capture things. And so we had pretty uncomfortable headgear with two cameras and a light shining right in your eyes. And the set is kind of dark. And then we're meant to act together. And in my case, I'm acting with Kieran Hines and Peter Guinness.
No pressure.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Doing your thing, man.
Yeah. So for me, it just came down to, you know, the other thing too, being like, I knew enough about Darkseid at the time to know that there's a hell of a lot of weight attached to that particular character. There's a lot of history with that character. And as Ray knows, like playing Shakespeare, you don't do that. You don't play the magnificence of the role. You don't play the history of it, because then you're a museum. You're not actually doing anything nutritious. So it just came down to simple things. What is the truth of the scene? What am I doing here? What am, you know, that just real basic acting 101 stuff. You know, so we were able to, in pretty short order, get past the strange visual obstruction and just play the scenes. And by that time, it took a little bit, but by that time it was very free, and you know, we were able to get it across, because the reason they needed to do that was they were VFXing our mouth movements, our expressions, you know, our faces and things like that. And it's funny because I look at Kieran and I look at Peter and I can see their faces in these roles. And I actually had my son say to me at one point, Darkseid does kind of look like you.
I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah.
And our voices sound like us. I was very happy to hear, you know, when I first heard the three of us, we sound like we do, you know, which was great. So there's a little bit of effect on it. But again, it's about grounding it. It's about making it real. It's about, because if it isn't, it's too easy to dispense, you know, these otherworldly beings being otherworldly. Nobody gives a damn. Or they won't after a few minutes. And so when you have, you know, the internal struggles, when you have the clear disdain that Darkseid has for Steppenwolf, his obsession with anti-life and all of that, that's good playable stuff.
Yeah. Real quick, I do want to remind everybody, this is a fundraising stream, part of the Us United fundraiser for AFSP. And so there is a donate button. We got the donate button. Yeah. So there is a donate. Yeah. This time we got it. this time we got it. And so just to give you guys an update, since this stream started, we've raised $236
All right.
for AFSP. So please, anything that you can give, as little as $1, whatever, everything, every little bit helps. And 100% of it goes to the AFSP. And so we want to make a difference. You guys have been making a difference and doing a tremendous job. And so thank you for all your support of that. And that's why we have these two wonderful people here tonight at the lounge. So thank you guys. Ray, I saw you on another stream and you talked about something, and this we kind of talked about it a little bit when you were here last time, but we didn't get too much into it. But it's something that really hits to the heart of your character in this movie. We talked about how we were both raised by our grandmothers and our moms, and without that kind of male role model figure in the house and stuff, like I struggled for a long time in my life, at least personally, trying to figure out. That's why I attached to the character of Superman so much, because I saw Superman as not just because of the superpowers, but because of how he treated others. It always reminded me, and that's a testament to like Christopher Reeve and seeing some of those things, growing up, was I always saw how he treated others. And that made me kind of see how I felt a man should be. But Cyborg, the relation of him with his dad. Now, my son Landon, whose middle name is Jor-El, I did that because of that whole father-son connection. My son teases me all the time because anytime I see a movie that has to do with dads and sons and anything like that, like I just bawl. Like you get me watching Field of Dreams and I'm going to be crying by the end.
No. Same background over here, by the way.
As a guy who literally played catch with his dad for the first time when I was 35 years old, and it's on video, like of him being like, okay, come here, Inash, we're going to play catch. Like Tiffany recorded this whole thing because I connected with my dad later in life and I didn't even realize I needed that until I got older and I had that connection.
Yeah.
And not everybody has that opportunity. And I was blown away to realize how much and how important that was to me. Can you talk a little bit about how that was for you, Ray, playing that character of this son who has this father who's there, but then he's absent and he's engaged in his work. I mean, it's just, first of all, to see the character of Silas actually fleshed out and the reasoning behind the tension between him and his son was fantastic to be able to see that here in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah. And then that kind of redemptive story between them. How was that for you?
For me, it was pretty cathartic, I make it no secret, I come from a single mother household. My mother and grandmother raised us. And, it's an interesting thing because I think it resonates for a lot of folks, and not just folks who may have an absent father, but folks who may have an absent parent in some capacity, period.
Yes.
And while Silas was not physically absent, emotionally and mentally he was, which I think in some cases can actually be a lot worse.
Yeah.
Right. To have that constant reminder of what's not there with you every day, and so for me, I felt a great responsibility to try to find a way to make it grounded and relatable, because I think what ultimately folks are resonating with Cyborg in particular is the idea that, he could be just like anyone else. Obviously, he's got a genius level intellect, and that probably separates him in some ways from his peers just in general, but then feeling further separated by way of not having that familial connection that you're wanting. I mean, it can isolate you. And so I think that sort of isolation that, his mother, Eleanor, is really the sort of only balm for in his life, and having that taken away is, it's a tragic story, but it's also one of, like you said, it's one of redemption. It's it's a healing story. It's a healing process. So, I mean, for me, having that bittersweet moment at the end where you see Cyborg listening to his father's message and taking it in, being able to listen in a way that, being able to receive that message in a way at the end of the film that he clearly would not have had all the events not taken place in the way that they did. That's, to me, that's real. That's real life. You hear about stories of these sort of misconnections between fathers and children and mothers and children that, you know, you don't find out until after they're gone that that things may not have been what you perceive them to be, that there might have been a deeper level of caring, but just in a different way than what you were desiring or what you needed. So, you know, it's a crazy dynamic. And as Ray was saying here just a second ago, like, I know he shares we share a common thread in that as well. So, for me, that is what it felt like. I think it was that sort of that catharsis that comes along with it. And I've had some folks reach out and say, for various reasons, like, that reminds me of my situation, you know?
Yes.
And it's nice to see people being able to relate to this in that way. And hopefully it helps.
I loved the metaphor towards the end with the tape recorder. You know, for me personally, it was the message of, after some time has passed, it's possible for you to rebuild something so you're capable of hearing your father's voice.
Yep.
In a way that you didn't before. And that really, that kind of, I had a lot of cries through this movie.
I was going to say, I was crying at that point because you were listening to what Dad had to say.
Yeah. Well, and the idea that his father, this is one of the sort of really, I think, sort of things that breaks my heart, is the idea that Silas could have died thinking that Victor did not listen to the message, right? He walks in, sees the crushed tape recorder, says, "Oh, Victor," right? And thinks, you know, he's never going to listen to this. And I mean, he dies without ever truly knowing whether or not Victor listened to the message. You know, Victor shows up, you can assume like they're on the road to recovery. But you know, it's that little bit of doubt, you know?
Yeah.
And so that breaks my heart just thinking about it, because that I feel like is very Shakespearean in a way, right? So
I
like
agree.
Romeo and Juliet, the letter comes a little too late, and then everything just sort of...
And yet, I feel like that's counterbalanced by the thing that again got me all teary, when he sees you leading the Justice League, and that bittersweet thing of, my boy's going to be all right. He doesn't need me anymore. That did me in. I mean, both as a child of a figurative father and as a father myself, it just destroyed me. And it's just the visual imagery. You know, the unspoken dialogue between you and Joe in that movie is absolutely singular. The vast scenes that take place just in your eyes when you're looking at each other is brilliant.
I appreciate you saying so. And that, you know, we had a lot of conversation about, and it was really important to me as to like when Cyborg refers to Silas as father versus when he refers to him as dad.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's a certain level of familiarity.
Yes.
If you notice throughout the entire piece, he always says, my father, my father, my father, much more clinical term to describe Silas. The only point in which he says dad is when it comes inadvertently, when Silas is about to hit the box with the beam. And he goes, no, dad, wait, don't. Because that, it sort of, the emotion takes over. And so he can't think about compartmentalizing his father in that moment in the way that his sort of resentment or anger is forced him to, you know? So it's just like little bits like that, you know, and talking to Chris and Zach, and everything that's been, every word of the dialogue has been sort of just masterfully laid out and purposefully put in place. So it's little bits like that that really resonate with me, because you know, it calling somebody dad is a much different and a much more familiar thing than the father aspect of it. So if you keep looking through, there are little bits and pieces of that kind of stuff laid throughout the film. And I mean, I think folks are going to be talking about this and picking it apart for a long time. So, and
that's a great point, because Ray Porter, you alluded to this before.
Rayborg and Rayside.
Rayside.
I like those.
Okay. But you alluded to it before Ray Borg came in, and just about how, like, there are people who they really had no interest in seeing this. Okay.
Mhm.
I know people who are just staunch Marvel fans, for example.
Right.
Right. And they've just kind of written off the DC universe for whatever reason. They've just said, nope, I don't want anything to do with that. I don't connect with it. I don't like it. And many of them have watched now Zack Snyder's Justice League, and they've said there is something really special here. I have one friend.
Mhm.
I have one friend who comes on the channel. He was here, Ray, when you were here last, Ray
Mm.
Fisher, and he said, "Look, he said last week. He said I'm a Marvel fan through and through. I feel like there's nothing better than the Avengers." He says, and this movie was Avengers level for me. And that's somebody who really had no bearing of like coming into this saying that I was just going to love this. But there are so many people who are loving this and connecting with it. And I think it shows the testament of like, this wasn't just a bunch of fanboys. This wasn't just a bunch of just fans who just wanted to see something or whatever. There was something truly magical here that's been sitting for 4 years, man, that everybody fought for. And Zach really shined
Yes.
with this film. Just every character has a great story. I mean, it's really hard, especially when you have this ensemble cast, right? And you bring all these big names together and stuff, and then some who are appearing for their first time. Everybody gets their story told in this movie.
Yep.
And maybe you needed 4 hours to do it.
That's how long it takes to tell that story. And
Exactly.
and I think part of the reason why people are going back and watching BVS and coming back now in light of having seen Justice League and saying that they like BVS is that that's how long it took to tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this film is a masterpiece. Never mind that there's superheroes in it,
Right.
and otherworldly villains. It is cinema, I think, at its best.
I'd agree with that. And I think most of the world, at least as far as like the critical and the general reception to it, I mean, it is clearly what it is.
Yeah.
And even from the aspect ratio, right? Like
Yeah.
the audacity to change the way in which
Right.
a person's going to view this thing in its entirety, right? I think it already kind of sets you up to open your mind as to the new sort of thing you're going to be seeing here. There's never been a superhero film quite like this.
No, there has not.
Period. I'm sure we'll see more in the future.
I bet you're right.
Yeah, but
I certainly hope so.
Yeah,
I certainly hope so. I mean, you guys have done classical stuff. You've both done Shakespeare. You've done very traditional pieces. You've done very serious pieces, and these things that actors do before they are just go and be before they just go and be in a superhero movie because they're wanting to do something different. But I mean seriously, this movie is so chock full of so many great actors, so many great names. I mean, my goodness, Jeremy Irons as Alfred. To see him back and just the things that he says and giving levity to Bruce Wayne. Ray Fisher, I guess I got to ask you, like, this was your first movie, right? This was your
first full feature film. Batman Superman was technically the first. That was 1 day of shooting on that. Yeah.
But I mean, this was you, and you are the centerpiece of this movie, Ray. You were given such a responsibility for this. And now I think there's a lot of people who are seeing, oh my gosh, how you being taken out of the movie to the capacity that you were in your role was a travesty. And obviously there was a lot of people, and we could talk about that. But how much pressure did you feel on yourself reading the script and seeing that Cyborg was who he was, and like you said, Ray Porter, he's leading the Justice League at some point. You're not just a side character. You're not just a Teen Titan or something. You are a leader in this group, and the Batmans and Supermans and Wonder Womans of the group acknowledge you as such. How did you feel any pressure coming in with say you're acting versus Ben Affleck and these other people? Give us a little insight.
I will say the thing that probably prevented me from feeling the intense anxiety inducing pressure was the fact that we had so much lead up time to get into the piece, right? I've been talking with Chris Terrio about the film before there was even a page of it written, right? When it came to the script, I could cite the page number that certain things occurred on, right?
Sure.
And for me, whenever I'm feeling like I'm lost, I always refer back to the text. It's like a theater thing, right? And so I felt so confident and I felt so strongly in the text. And so far as the acting side of it goes, you know, your character, and this is something I think any decent actor will tell you, is like your character believes that they're the main character of their own story, right? Cyborg on the day is just trying to get by. It just so happens that he's trying to get by within these world-altering circumstances, right? The idea that you're playing a character who, for all intents and purposes, is probably the most intelligent being on the planet, let alone potentially the universe, depending on, you know, how much information he's able to absorb, also instills you with a certain level of confidence, right? The idea that this person has essentially been face to face with death, right?
Yeah.
And has been brought back from the brink would instill him with a sense of, I think, maybe a more morbid sense of confidence, but the idea like he's been through a whole hell of a lot, you know? And so for me, insofar as the pressure as me, the actor, goes, I know I was in great hands with Zach and Chris, and insofar as the way Zach shoots it, I mean, I felt so comfortable after he explained like some of the visual stuff, like, okay, you know, this is just a green screen, but it's actually going to be the ship. It's going to take off and do this and do that. You know, I need you guys to like start off with it here. It's going to fly up and go this way. If you had any question, any comment, any concern, like it was never an issue, you know, because we're all on the same team. And so I didn't feel an immense amount of pressure with that. And also the co-stars were like, they were so welcoming, right? First time I met Jason was at, we were in a makeup trailer for Batman Superman, right? I was getting the prosthetic face thing done. And I guess he was on set for something else, like talking to Zach or whatever. But he comes in, he's like, "Hey!" He just gives me this hug. Never met me before. I got a facial prosthetic.
I would love to talk to him too, man. One day, I swear, he just seems like such a my
exactly. And so the idea, and this is, I think, what it all boiled down to in the actual shooting process, was that, you know, the way in which Zach runs his set lends itself to people being comfortable trying things, people being comfortable giving it their all, right, and not feeling or feeling like they're going to look foolish. That I think was probably the most comfortable one could be on a set, even though it was, I could imagine it was high tension, high anxiety for the folks in charge of divvying out the $200 million it took to make the movie.
Right, yeah. But well worth it. You know, it's a long way to get here. But I almost feel, you know, because I know that there's, especially for the fans, the fans having gone through, those of us, unfortunately, Ray Porter, who have seen 2017, it's a long way to get here, and it's a heartbreaking thing of how some of the things went down to get us here. But I think that's what made the victory of seeing this film so much more sweet, to be able to sit on my couch and go to my family, this thing doesn't exist, yet we're enjoying it right now.
Yeah.
We've been told that it doesn't exist. We've been told that it's a pipe dream, that's not how Hollywood works. This is not, you fans don't understand. You all just, even today, I got a message from somebody that just tried to tell me, tell Ray he needs to stop what he's doing because, you know, what's done is done and you just got to move on. And, you know, and it's like, you reached me way too late, guys.
You
Sorry.
already know.
You already know.
You
like,
already know.
Exactly.
I mean, it, you know,
the idea of moving on or moving beyond, it's like, listen, you got to have pretty thick skin to be in this business, number one, right? And you're already attempting to do something that is where the odds are stacked against you, right? Being able to be in a film like this, the odds are very slim, period, right? No matter who you are. And it's a blessing that we've beaten the odds in so many places when it comes to this film. And insofar as like the idea of moving on, it's like, well, we'll move on when when the time is right, but there's still work.
This is how long it takes to tell this story.
This is how long it takes to tell this story. You already know.
Yeah.
And 4 hours though of a movie, and I was surprised that even though we had to start it so late because of what happened that day with Microsoft, and those of us who did have to work and not get to sleep in, it was also one of those things that I'm sitting there for 4 hours, and when it was done, or you realized, wait a minute, this is going to be ending in a few minutes, and you're like, no, I want more. I want more of the story. 4 hours was not enough for me.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how people were just so hung up on it's going to be 4 hours long. How are we going to get through this? But I wanted more than 4 hours of this movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, I haven't heard a single, like, I think, legitimate complaint about the length of the film. Most people say that it feels way shorter than what the actual runtime is.
Correct.
And I remember, you know, when in my jubilation and excitement, pausing the movie when I'm like, okay, must have been 3 hours already, and I pause it and I'm like, oh, I've got another hour and a half left, and I got that like glee, that excitement, like, oh, this isn't gonna stop anytime soon. Great, go.
Well, and that's a great point. Real quick, I do want to point out we have raised so far $467 for the AFSP.
Keep it going.
Keep it going, guys. Keep it going, guys. Man, that's just awesome. Just in the first 51 minutes, man, of this broadcast, you guys have been doing a great job. So thank you all.
Get it up to 1,000, and Ray Fisher will do his Darkseid voice.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And not a dollar sooner.
And not a dollar sooner.
There you go.
That's
the gauntlet.
That's how much it takes to tell this story. And we're
Exactly.
coming back to that.
There you go. There you go. The gauntlet has been thrown. But you know, so this movie though harkens back though. This is an event movie. Okay, this is not movie that you just sit casually and just go, oh well, hey, you want to throw on Zack Snyder's Justice League? I mean, we are right now. We're just putting it on in the background and stuff. But I see this going forward. This is going to be an event for people. Just like I remember being a kid, there were certain movies back in the day that like we would watch, like say Ben-Hur. Okay. Like I remember being a kid and man, we would pull out Ben-Hur, and yeah, it's a 3.5 hour, 4 hour movie. You know, I remember it came on 2 VHS tapes, man. And, you know, you had to pop in one, pop in the other. And you had the intermission and all that stuff. But, you know, or the 10 Commandments, you know, it's like we show it once a year, and it's this, you know, it's this amazing thing. I really think Zach has done something, like you said, everything about this is something special. The runtime, the aspect ratio, the even people
the black
involved.
And white version,
yes,
makes a whole difference on just watching it. I mean, it's the same movie, but just seeing it that way with no color, to me, is phenomenal. It's
an instant classic in that regard.
Yes,
like, you can put that on, and that could be a bedtime story. You know what I mean? Like this film, I think, will truly stand the test of time, and that's saying a lot for where we're at with comic book content, just period, right? A lot of stuff just feels so like consume it. I saw it once. I don't need to see it again. Most comic book films I've only seen once, right? And this is one where you're going to want to watch it again and again, and maybe at least once a year.
Yeah.
You know?
And it intertwines so seamlessly and beautifully with BVS, because it feels like where BVS ended, we pick up for Zack Snyder's Justice League, and we get to learn like all these different from Cyborg's story, from Superman's story, what Lois was feeling, all of the different, you know, things that he brought up, the emotions he brought up in this movie.
And here we are a week out, and there's still things that like people are picking up on, and I'm seeing memes and different things going out. Like I saw one today that almost just it stopped me, and I started to almost cry because it showed, you know, Clark holding his mother in the cornfield, and it says, when you realize that this is the first time that Clark has seen his mom since BVS, when Lex Luthor was throwing down pictures of his mom roughed up after she was abducted. And to know that his mom finally was safe. Like, whoa, hold on a second. Now you just took me back to a whole different thing, right? I mean, and you're making me feel something now that I didn't even think of when I was watching this movie.
And that's the best kind of experience. People can pour over this and find everything in it. And it's marvelous. I don't know if y'all saw the meme I put up today of, let me see if I can find it. I posted it on Twitter. I'll just read it to you, but it was, it made me howl. Okay, hold on a minute. Grandma needs her glasses. After the success of the Snyder Cut, Peter Jackson is considering releasing the Jackson uncut version of Lord of the Rings, which is 8.5 days long.
Yes, I did see that. I saw that. I saw that come through. I didn't know that was you, but that's awesome.
Me.
That was
And
awesome.
immediately after 3 people are like, "Is this real?"
Yeah.
No, it's not real.
Well, that's the thing. This has definitely changed. It's definitely set a precedent, or at least changed. I think shifted the paradigm as to like what folks think about run times and what audiences will be willing to sit through and that sort of thing. And I get why shorter films at the box office makes sense insofar as being able to play them more frequently over the weekend. But when you want return business, when you want repeat business, you tell a good story and the rest takes care of itself, clearly.
Yeah.
Precisely. I mean, there's a difference between, I refer to nutrition quite a lot. Like, this film is nutritious.
Mm-hmm.
It's nourishing, and it's, so, and people will sit. If you tell the story well enough, people will stay for that amount of time and want more.
Absolutely. And speaking of wanting more, I want to touch on that in a second, but real quick before we move on to that, both of you, if you could share with us the moment when you found out that this movie was coming out.
Like the actual official?
Yeah, like when if Zach called you, if that, what was that? Was that a text? Was it a call? Was it something?
I got a call, and it was like I was like, "Yo, brother." He's like, "Yo, Ray." He's like, "There's something that might be going on. I kind of just want to get your temperature on the thing, because them releasing the movie on HBO Max. I guess you had to get a bunch of people's like sign off, like including the people in the film." And I was like, "Not a question. Like, absolutely." I know there'd been talk prior to, and Zach told me, he's like, "Hey, listen, you're my first call. Like, this is absolutely happening. I just need to get your green light on this." And I'm like, yeah.
That is so cool.
And so it was good to be the first and to be the test call, because calling people up and being like, "Hey, would you mind like just let me do this thing?" Right? That could be a tough conversation depending on what the circumstance may be. But I was honored, I was privileged, I was stoked, and I was also kind of like, all right, hopefully everybody else says, yeah, it's cool, right? So it was literally like everybody sort of coming together to make sure that this thing, got out on the backside of it as well. So yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Mr. Porter?
Well, I didn't get a call asking what I thought about it being released. I think he probably could take it as read that I would say yes. But I did get a call. He emailed me. He called me and said, "Look, we got some additional Darkseid lines we want you to record. You can just record them at home." I was like, I had an inkling that something was going to happen, and so I did them. But I didn't know an exact date or a year or a time frame or anything until that broadcast. That when he had that watch party, and then at the very end, surprised everybody. That's when I knew it was official. But I'm such a I don't know. You can relate, I'm sure, Ray, as an actor. I'm so scarred by so many things that even up to that point, I was like, he's going to find somebody else to play Darkseid. No, I knew it. I just knew it. But I remember when that happened, and then I texted him and said, "Can I come out of the closet and say I played Darkseid?" that was when I finally acknowledged it on Twitter. I mean, it was exciting, and all that time of uncertainty of not even knowing, and to have that sort of, it's been a celebration for a really long time now.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite pastimes in the time when the trailers were being released, was to see the trailer and then immediately go on YouTube and look at reactions to the trailer. To see the joy and the anticipation and the excitement that people had over every little thing shown in the trailer was so gratifying. It's just been amazing, and it's continuing. Us United. #Us United. Donate to AF.
Absolutely.
Snyderverse. Let's
Well,
go.
and so we're up to $556, by the way.
Come on, we're halfway.
Come on.
Start practicing doing your vocal warm-ups, man.
There we go. There we go. This is awesome. This is awesome. Real quick,
You can
there
throw me
was
under
a
the bus anytime you like, Ray. I'll do whatever you like.
here was a question that was submitted. And I think that this is poignant, especially with what happened regarding Justice League 2017, and obviously Ray Fisher, your stance and the year that you've had coming out about things that happened on the set of Justice League and your takes on them and things that happened to others. This was submitted by Mario here, is asking how it feels showing a powerful black superhero on the big picture with and holding his own against the best. And here you are right here tonight, even holding your own, against Darkseid himself. You staring him down through the boom tube, like
Well, Sans CG were much friendlier people.
Yeah.
For me, it's a privilege and a great responsibility, right? Ultimately, making sure that what it is that I choose to do or not do in front of the camera, I know that it has a much larger impact than simply me just going out and wanting to perform a thing, right? Mm-hmm. Ultimately, what we watch on TV, what we see in film, it influences not just, I think, it doesn't just influence the way that people look at themselves, but it can also influence the way that others view a specific group of people as well, right? And so there's a lot of responsibility. There's probably more pressure, I think, on that and making sure that you're doing justice to the character for all the different reasons that you need to, than there is in actually, being a superhero in this kind of film, right? That is where I took a lot of pride, and I think ultimately the vision of what Cyborg was intended to be from Chris and Zach and myself, and the execution of it, I think, is one that a lot of folks can be proud of, and I'm glad that I could be playing a character that could be inspirational to the Black community, and I'm glad I could be a character that would be inspirational to the disabled community in certain ways, or to human beings in general because of certain dynamics that they have. So, it expands itself to a more universal feel, but ultimately, I think this is a really big win, a really big win for Black folks being able to see a character that is smart, a character that is powerful, a character that doesn't shy away from or really play second fiddle to anyone else, because it's not about, there's no hierarchy, I think, when it comes to the way that Zach has laid out his heroes. Everybody has their task, everybody fits in, everybody on any given day, any hero could beat any other hero, and it doesn't matter what the color of the skin is. It's about the way in which you imagine and execute the interpretation of the characters, right? So not to sound too kumbaya about it, right?
Sure.
But
yeah.
It's long answer short. It's a joy. It's a privilege. And even now, there are folks on the show I'm working on right now who are coming up to me and saying, "Hey, listen, my son, who's this old, or my daughter, who's this old, like Cyborg is now their favorite character." Yeah. And bringing awareness to and elevating the character, especially because we don't see very many Black superheroes elevated in the same way.
Yeah.
It does bring me a lot of pride, and I do feel very fortunate and grateful that we were able to execute it in the way that we were intending. So. Yeah.
Even little Ben, who was on here the last time you were on here, and you met Ben, and he gave you his take on Cyborg even before seeing the movie, and he has since he has seen the movie, and he absolutely loved it, and he loved your character. And it's I feel so many times we look at these superheroes, and it's easy for me, I'm a white guy. Hey, I got an unusual name, but I'm a white guy, okay, with an unusual name. And so I see myself in a lot of these characters, right? Like I could grow up playing, seeing myself as Batman or Superman or whatever, and And you know, I had black friends, I had Asian friends, I had other, you know, I had Mexican friends who lived in the neighborhood with me, and we all as kids we all just played those things. But as you get older, I think that like some of my friends started to see themselves that they weren't represented as much in society as far as who these people were. So I think it's important, not just in superheroes, but like in general. Anytime I hear somebody talk, you know, I don't know why there's this such dividing line nowadays where people there's been so many people who make this such a big deal that it's like representation is some kind of bad word or that it's some kind of negative thing. You know, it's about all of us. It's literally about all of us seeing each other, you know, in this. Like when I look at Cyborg, I'm looking at an awesome character who's doing some awesome things and helping save humanity. I'm not thinking about, well, is he black? Is he white? Is he whatever? And like you said, that's a great testament to how Zach has portrayed these characters, because look, so many times, you know, it's this dividing line, and everybody, you know, just comes together the way that, you know, him and Chris Terrio wrote these characters and put these characters together in the way that you portrayed it. It's amazing, man.
And actually, talking about a portrayal, Inash, there is one person in the chat that I wanted to point out. The person's name is titled Sickness, and he said, "At Point Dexter Lounge, could you tell Ray Fisher his portrayal of Cyborg and losing his dad hit me hard. I just lost my dad 2 months ago due to COVID. It connected with me like I never thought it would." So just the portrayal of what you did has hit people in ways that they didn't expect it to just in the movie.
Well, I'm sorry for the loss. Let me say that. And I'm glad that the film could help in some way with that. So no, I appreciate you sharing that. And hopefully, you know, I'm sending all my positive thoughts and vibes to you and your family.
Yeah. So lots of great positive things about the film coming out, and we see these things, and you brought it up, and I got to bring it up. And that, of course, is, you know, in Superman, in the comics, there's a term that's called the never-ending battle. Okay, right. Okay. And so it's a never-ending battle. Superman, you know, he fights the Justice League fights, you know, Darkseid on one day and stares him down through a boom tube, which again is like one of the greatest moments I think ever in superhero movie history. When that happened, I'm 4 hours into this thing, and it's like 5 a.m, and I'm jumping on my couch still, man, just electrified with that moment. And just, and you know, maybe it means a little something more to me now because I've talked to both of you and you know, and I know how much this means to you guys and just to the fans, and there's just all that excitement that built. And the overwhelming response from all over the world. I mean, we're starting to finally hear some of the numbers, and it's breaking records in Canada. It's breaking records overseas. I mean, somebody just sent me
records. Are we?
Yes, so? Yeah. In Canada, it is overtaken. It's the biggest movie ever watched on Crave. It's completely blown away because that's how they, I guess, had to watch it up there. And so completely blew that away. Somebody just sent me some information about India today that now it's become the highest watched like movie and whatever it was.
There's actually footage online. People took footage online in movie theaters in India watching the film, and the audience just screaming and going crazy and cheering. And
wow,
you know,
That's awesome.
Yes. So all over the world, the response to this has been amazing. And we know that we've been watching it. And then with the release of Justice is Gray, I mean, like Tiffany said, I put it on and I thought, oh yeah, well, you know, it's going to be cool to see it, you know, black and white. But it was amazing how much it just popped out at you. And I'm like, it's a black and white film, and it feels like seeing it fresh all over again. Yeah. That being said, we have turned our attention now, our focus on the Snyderverse in general, because you guys have brought something to us along with Zach and the rest of the crew and the rest of the cast that like we've talked about already, it's an instant classic. Mm-hmm. Restoring the Snyderverse. And to me, I think to some people it means some different things. To me, I feel that there's room for everything. I feel that there's room for TV shows that have nothing to do with Zack Snyder. I feel that there's room for movies that have nothing to do with Zack Snyder or this universe as it is. But you know, we didn't even get a week out of this film, and all of a sudden we were hit with what felt like, I know to a lot of us, just a straight up kick to the gut. You know, and just being told it's done. We're going to open up the multiverse to every other universe except for this one. And I think a lot of us took that as a very personal thing, because you got to be kidding me. You literally got to be kidding me. You guys have brought something amazing. And I'm curious to, you know, hear from you guys what you think. And Ray Porter, why don't we start with you? I mean, you're playing Darkseid in this movie, and it's amazing. And yet there's all this talk about, you know, this New Gods movie. And you mentioned, like, you know, you were like, oh, I just knew Zach was going to replace me, whatever. Like the problem, you know, the thing is, the testament to how good this thing is like, people are already saying, like, they're feeling like they have to draw a line in the sand and kind of pick sides, right? And say, like, you know, like, nothing else. We're just, you know, we want this. And I'm interested to hear you guys think, like, what do you say to somebody who's in that position now? And, you know, they're just saying, look, I want to see more in this universe.
Okay. As an overarching sort of philosophical statement, I have a little bit of trouble with the recent climate of extremes. I like A, so B cannot exist. I don't like B, you know, so therefore A must exist. You know, it's too much. There's that's not what we should be doing with our energies. I feel it's far more productive to have a bit more inclusive attitude towards a lot of different things, including, you know, I said this because poor Ava DuVernay was besieged even before the movie came out. You know, oh, you have to have Ray Porter's Darkseid. I mean, like, I saw it on Twitter every single day. And I finally tweeted my truth, which is, Ava's a brilliant storyteller. She should cast whoever she wants as Darkseid. And I believe that. Would I like it if she decided to have a look at me? Of course I would. But if she chooses another Darkseid, that's the right choice for the story she's telling. It does not nullify this story. It does not nullify this choice in casting, nor should it. Yeah, I'd love to see the Snyderverse continue, obviously, because there's quite a lot more exploration I'd like to do of Darkseid. I think he's a fascinating role, you know? And it is something I'd love to continue. Of course, I'd be crazy not to. However, to revile another film, to revile another person's endeavor in the name of your love for one thing is the wrong approach. You know, I mean, it's like, there's a lot of people who love Marvel and DC. Get over it. You know, relax. I think that, honestly, if we can take a bit more inclusive approach, as people who spent years fighting for a storyteller to have his vision told,
yes,
I think the fandom can afford to support a storyteller having his or her version of a story told. Yeah, I'd love it to continue. I mean, that'd be grand. And, you know, I'm certainly available. I would like to see the Snyderverse continue. Very much so.
Yeah.
Not because I personally benefit from it, but because I know the stories that he intends to tell, and I'd like to see them. And I'd like to see what Ava is going to do. And I'd like to see what, you know, Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to be. And I think we can all afford to be a hell of a lot more inclusive than we have been.
Yeah. Well, Ray Fisher, you came back for reshoots. You look absolutely great, man. Armed and ready as Superman, hovers down, down there, and like he's here, and it's like, oh boy, it's about to go down, and this promise of what is to come, and just the creepiness about that, and obviously you've had a different experience because you, there's been a lot of assumption that you were going to continue on and that you were going to be a part of this Flash movie. And then with the circumstances, that came up, you made your points well known. Can you speak a little bit about that? I mean, because I'll be honest, I'm a DC fan, tried and true, right? But like I've said from the very beginning, Ray, and we've been a channel that obviously everybody knows we stand with Ray Fisher. Like I've said, you've reached me way too late. I see what you're doing, man. I've watched you. I've heard your. I've read your tweets when you release tweets. I've watched your streams when you stream and you're talking about this stuff. And I'll be honest, man, because I totally agree with what you're saying, Ray Porter, about that. It's like I want to be able to go watch this Flash movie, and I want to be able to go enjoy it. And there's a lot of concepts there that as a DC fan, I'm going, well, yeah, I'd love to see a multiverse movie and have this opened up, man, and have a Latina Supergirl, and I like Andy Muschietti, and I like his movies, and I like all this stuff. Like I want to just go be able to enjoy that.
Yeah.
But when I go sit down, and now this echo of 2017 it's like the Superman scream. It's like going out, and it just is echoing out. Like when I sit down, how do I separate myself from that as a fan? Help the fans to feel that, and what you think of that.
Well, it's tough. I think it's a very individual thing. I mean, for some people it's easier to separate those things than for others, and I don't want to assume how easy or how difficult it will be for every individual, because I can only speak from my perspective.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's still a lot of folks who are tied into these films, particularly The Flash and other films that I care about deeply, right? Folks who are working both in front of and behind the camera. And so for me, being able to compartmentalize my specific issue with specific people that may be associated with those films, I don't need to go and condemn the whole thing, right? Because ultimately there are a lot of folks who are working very hard who don't deserve to have their work diminished because of a few folks who are maybe trying to avoid accountability for other issues. Yeah. And so it is a tough thing, and it's sometimes it feels like it's up to each person and whatever is within their conscience to do, right? I can't really speak to the method outside of saying, hey, listen, engaging is engaging, period. If there's something that you don't like, you should probably not engage, period, rather than engage negatively, because it's still engagement. And ultimately, if there's something you don't enjoy, even giving it engagement on the negative side still, I think, ultimately helps with the views, with the clicks, with everything else. So for me, I usually take more of a silent approach. If I don't like something, you're not going to see me go out there and trash it. There are plenty of TV shows that I don't get down with, or movies that I don't like. And I keep those conversations, I try to keep them as objective as I possibly can about, certain style and this and that. But going out and, publicly blasting other people's stuff, very much to Ray's point, it really doesn't serve a purpose, I think, outside of creating derision and division. And that's not something that I personally subscribe to. So, I think some folks take the approach that, the negative side of things can be a powerful sort of method. And while that may be true in certain circumstances, unfortunately, it's a very slippery slope. It really is. So I think we're in a place now where folks are seeing that, the audience, especially for the DC side of things, I think the audience is very capable of letting people know what they're willing to spend their money on. Yeah. Right. the fact that you have Restore the Snyderverse trending at 1.5 million tweets,
Yes.
like, period. And you didn't need to spam anybody's, you didn't need to spam anybody's trailer or spam anybody else's, Twitter feed for that. That's just people doing it out of love for what they want to see,
Yes.
which is a bit different. And so I encourage folks to do that. Ultimately, if this were a situation where I felt like there were any, like I personally needed to take a certain stance with things, I would certainly let people know that. I know that there's some folks out there saying, they're going to boycott this or do that, and that's not anything that I subscribe to. It's I don't think that we're even close to that place, as it stands. And if I ever felt that we were, I would not be shy to say it. Right?
Well, I know. Well, one of my concerns is, being in the trenches, being a fan and having a channel that a lot of people come to and, and talk about, these things with, that's one of the things that I've been trying to tell people is look, we're going to win these battles by showing what we love. Like you just said, not by hating what we think we won't like. There's a time and a place to say everything. I mean, and Ray Fisher, you have you've brought great attention to this, because I mean, people have put a lot of pressure on you, as we want all this information from you, right? You've divulged some information, you've put some things out there, but then it seems like there's a segment of the population that just wants to think that the Snyder fans are just toxic. That somehow we're these people who are doing these bad, they're not seeing the positivity. They're not seeing that, there's always some toxicity in any fandom, because there's just individuals in fandom.
The internet. I mean, the internet breeds toxicity in certain ways. So that's, anywho.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but no, for you, I'm curious for you, because you're in this position now. The investigation has been done at Warner Brothers, right? You've divulged information. There's been people who've just demanded things from you. Where are you at now? Where are you at in your resolve and your, where does Ray Fisher go from here? What do you want? You've been very public asking for apologies from certain people on your Twitter and social media. Has anybody come to you personally or any of those things, to apologize to you or try to make it right with you? Or is just this something that you're just saying across the board, this needs to be done?
Well, insofar as an apology from Walter Hamada, no. Ultimately not, no. No, the thing is, I do understand why people would say, hey, give us all the information right now. We want to know everything right now, so on and so forth. Unfortunately, that is not something, just in my way of thinking, that would be helpful to actually achieving the end result, which is actually attaining some accountability.
Yes.
Ultimately, what was posited to me in some of the earlier conversations from folks on the other side was that, we want to know everything right now, right? And once you make all that information public, people can go ahead and start making up their reasons or excuses for that thing and trying to spin it publicly and so on and so forth. So you can't give everybody everything all at once. It's just what it is. And, I do appreciate the folks who have supported me despite me not saying everything. I think now at this juncture in time, I think we can see very clearly from the other folks who have spoken up that participated in the investigation and some of the, and insofar as Joss Whedon stepping away, people are seeing that clearly there is an issue here. You'd have to be purposefully, trying to ignore these things to think otherwise. So my objective, and maybe this is something that I think folks on the other side may be counting on, my objective in all of this, my number one priority, I will say, not even objective, but my number one priority is to make sure that those who participated in the investigation are protected. And now there's but so much that I can say without dragging other people into it in a public way that would not further that priority, if that makes any sense. So this is the sort of back and forth. There's a sort of push and pull that I need to make sure that I navigate and continue to navigate as we continue to search or strive, I should say, for accountability. So as I said pretty early on in this process, because we've been in it now since last July, I'm not going anywhere. I'm literally one tweet away, you know. And the fact of the matter is, and I think it's pretty telling, is that I'm going to keep saying it, in the most litigious and retaliatory business probably in the world. The fact that I have not been sued about any of this stuff, the fact that nobody's come after me in that way, should tell you a lot. I mean, the fact that I put out publicly, I would take a polygraph test at any point in time regarding any of the information I've relayed publicly, put it in writing, put it up there for the whole world to see, should tell people a lot. The idea that some of the folks on the other side seem to continually rely on using the investigator as a sort of like shield, saying, oh, well, this person told us that this thing didn't happen. Okay, but so figuring out for them, I think, I'm sorry, the idea that this is the excuse that's being used rather than actually acknowledging and having some of these folks who are actually being accused of these things speak out on their own behalf should tell you a lot, you know. And if you look at what folks aren't saying, right, folks are saying, well, this didn't happen, that didn't happen, this didn't happen, that didn't happen. Now, we know for a fact on our end that a lot of these things did happen. That's just a denial. But the other side of it is, if you're willing to tell us what didn't happen, how about you tell us what did? Because you're not saying nothing happened. So we can at least agree on that. So this is where it gets into that place where I ask people, especially the public, to really, you know, just think about what you would do in that particular circumstance, right? I mean, it's where we're at right now is, I don't think really very different from what you'd experience at your day job. You know what I mean? Like I've experienced it with HR and all the other jobs I've worked at, you know, in certain ways. And so it's no different. It's just, you just have to make sure you lay everything out carefully so that way folks who may have had stories to tell don't end up getting punished for those stories. And, you know, you just keep trucking, you know, like I said, I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. And the fact that I'm able to speak out publicly and as often as I am about this, I think lends itself more to the credibility of the things that I'm saying, right? Because for a guy on Twitter with no publicist to have a multi-billion-dollar corporation responding to him, trying to go tit for tat, should tell you something's up. Something is going on. If it weren't true, if any of this stuff wasn't true, they could just ignore it. But well,
and I think fans, you know, look, everybody's got to make their own decisions about what they feel about things and who they believe in certain situations. I think though, like even with the information that's come out, you when you said what you said and you just repeated it there about, you know, we're hearing a lot about, well, this wasn't this and this wasn't that, but what did you find? Right? Like when we heard all this information about the Snyder cut this last weekend, it was a bunch of stuff that we all knew was not genuine stuff. Like, well, we were so happy and glad that Zach was able to give Zach this opportunity to finally realize his thing. Like they weren't just going to hand that over to him. You know, like it was an effort. That it was something that took. It was a struggle. It took effort. It took time and patience and fighting for something that, you know, we believed in. Zach believed in. You guys believed in. You know, and so you know, and then the fact that, like, you know, there were reports coming out early that nobody watched the Snyder cut. And it was like. Yeah, there were reports at first that literally said that it didn't even do as good as Wonder Woman when Wonder Woman came out. You know, that it did something like 400,000 views less than Wonder Woman, and now those
Wait, what?
Yeah. Wait,
hold on, wait, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Yeah.
Explain that to me.
So, okay. So Monday we weren't, I love it right here, baby. Here we go. Monday, when all this information started coming out, there were reports that were coming out alongside of the information that came out from Warner Brothers about how they were moving on from the Snyder cut and everything, that we weren't getting exact numbers, which is kind of weird for a movie, given the fact that like every other streaming service can put out a movie, or when a movie has ever gone to theaters, it can be the only movie in theaters that weekend. And all of a sudden it's the #1 movie of the year, you know, of the week, you know, and stuff. And you tout these things. And we weren't seeing any of that about the Snyder cut, you know, even though we all knew, look, we've all watched it 4 or 5 times by this point. You know, there's like you said, 1.5 million tweets in 24 hours, just, you know, blowing right past even Endgame. And that's not to get into the Marvel versus DC thing, but like breaking that record even. Okay.
Endgame was a benchmark. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Numbers
and
numbers.
And so numbers are numbers. And so there were literally people like there was one report that came out that said, and these have been debunked since, but the things that were being reported was that it had done like 400,000 less views than Wonder Woman 84 when it came out in December.
Worldwide?
No, that was the thing. Was that they weren't reporting all of the views. They were the reports were saying that, well, there's no way to know who all watched it, but it didn't do. But the narrative basically was it's not even doing as good as Wonder Woman. It's not even that big of a deal. The fans didn't show up like they said they were going to. Yeah. And it was like, so that's why a lot of fans, you know, just really took it hard. I mean, dude, we did a stream that night where I had to cheer people up. I literally had to sit here and go, like, a guy who's on my panel, I love him to death, Brian. Like, Brian came in and Brian was so upset. He's like, what is going on? And like by the end, man, we had him cheered up, you know, like we had people like back in the right spirit. We were talking about like, what can we do to be positive? What can we do to help restore the Snyderverse possibly, you know, and not just take this negativity. But man, there's been a lot of people who at first were just like, oh, you know, was it off or not?
I love the numbers game that gets played often in the trades and in these articles. Ultimately, yeah, that's a interesting. I'd need to do my research to see what they were counting. And
I mean, it's hard to quantify the numbers in countries where it was so much in demand the servers crashed.
Yes,
that's a big deal.
Yeah,
and also take a look at. You also have to take a look at when certain things are released. Right, because that also makes a massive, massive impact. Wonder Woman 2 released on Christmas Day, which means most people around the world were home, right?
Yep.
And so if that's any contributing factor, which I'm assuming it would be being released on Christmas Day versus being released on a Friday in March, right, with no holiday on either side of you, that's I mean, there's so many other factors that are involved in that whole situation. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine sheer number of hours watched. If you take that, even if it were 500,000 views less, just the sheer number of start to finish watches, number of hours watched, there can't even be a comparison. Like there just can't be.
Yeah. So, yeah. And so, so I got to say, for you guys, you guys playing such a huge part in this and being such an encouragement. And like I said, Ray Porter, when I saw Darkseid take that spot, I mean, like, and with all the little spots that were coming out, man, to see Darkseid's Omega beams, my gosh, man.
You lost it. The kids were looking at you funny.
Like, because honestly, I figured that it was going to be a little conservative on the Darkseid stuff, because we had kind of like, I know it's probably way different for you guys because you guys were, are in the movie. Maybe you guys are more privy to stuff, especially leading up to it. Like we're all sitting here, like we're hearing all these rumors and these trades and these people are saying, well, this is this and this is this. And so we're like, okay, I got to prepare myself that it's going to be a little bit of conservative on the Darkseid thing. They're not going to show him too much. He might have a couple little parts in there. And the next thing I know, man,
on a throne.
You're zapping people with Omega beams.
I'm making fish sticks in Atlantis. Yeah.
Boned him as well too.
I did. Yes,
skeleton was just intact.
It's Darkseid sushi. Yeah,
impressive.
But I mean, so to see that, and then we had all seen already the scene of you walking, and I'm saying you because it's you, man. That's the way I look at it. It's you. So I mean, Darkseid is walking, there with Granny Goodness and Desaad, and like we've already talked about that great scene of just looking through the boom tube at each other, that stare down, that promise of the Justice League standing there, Ray, you and the Justice League standing there like, bring it on. Who is this guy? You want to come through this boom tube right now? We'll do this right now.
Was it Leslie Jones thing? Come through though. Come through though.
Yeah,
you ain't doing anything.
I love Leslie Jones.
Ray, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Was there a lot? Were you able to see the other side of the coverage when you were doing the Darkseid stuff? Because I think you guys shot after we finished Principal.
No, sir. I was looking at an object.
Okay. All right. Well, there may be some takes that had a line or two directed toward the dark side, the dark one. So
I'd like to see that.
So what you're telling us
know.
is there's more.
I'd like to see that. Some challenges. Yeah, that'd be all right.
You heard it. Release the Ray Fisher, Ray Porter. Just release it all. Just
who's to say that it was me? Who's to say? I mean, I was there, but I can't really say what was said or who may have said it. But
yeah, there might have been a couple of things. Yeah.
Because even with everything, ultimately you get to try stuff, right? Obviously, there's there's stuff that makes it, there's stuff that doesn't. So
I want to know about that. My goodness.
I would watch a 8-hour movie about the stuff that didn't make it into the movie, right?
Yeah.
I'd watch that in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
Me too.
And obviously
there needs to be some kind of documentary or film made about this entire experience.
There is no way on any planet that would not happen. Like there's no reality. There's no multiverse.
It would have to be. It would have to be a series, like an 8 or 10 part series on HBO Max.
I'm okay with that.
Everything, that would be intense.
But man, you guys both, man, you brought it in this film, and I gotta ask. So those of us, who are trying to remain positive, we're trying to even in the face of being told, this trilogy, which is not a trilogy. I keep saying it over and over again. It wasn't a trilogy. Do the math. No wonder the math is wrong, because if they think that 5 movies equals a trilogy, then there's probably an issue. But if we continue to be positive and we stand in the face of this, and for some blessed reason we see more of this, I know you guys have already expressed on other streams and other things that you guys would want to come back. Now, Ray, there's people probably watching this stream who haven't watched other streams. There's some people under the impression that you just have walked away from it. The story was you quit. Right, Ray Fisher, you just quit, that you don't want anything to do with it. Can you please clear that up for those watching, just where you're at with that?
Sure thing. No, I've never quit. I did not quit anything, and I've made sure that I let folks know, especially folks in the trades who are positing it as one thing when it was certainly not that thing. So ultimately, insofar as the future is concerned, there are some really specific conversations that would need to be had, and some accountability that I'd still need to push for on my end before I'd be able to return, regardless of who's running it, right? And that's a personal thing. I love what I do. I love who I'm blessed to do it with. But there are more important things, I think, happening in the world that we need to address than simply our love for these comic book characters and these films, and our desire to be entertained. And so it's this has been a very special process to me, and for as many seemingly shaky times through this process, I've had a lot of really inspirational moments. I've had a lot of really just people that I'm grateful for, that have really gone to bat. And so it kind of chokes me up. You hear my voice cracking just a little bit. But this is real life, and like the art imitating life, imitating art, imitating life. Like I'm proud to be on the journey wherever it goes. And as I've said to folks before, ultimately, if this is the last time I get to play this character, God forbid, if this is the last time, this is such a high note and such a victory, such a W for myself, for everybody else involved in an artistic fashion, and for the world and for the fans. I think people see the truth, and what I will say to the folks who are looking to restore the Snyderverse, I say keep pushing. Right? There was a time in which folks told you the Snyder Cut didn't exist, and just hold on to that. Hold on to the idea that you are, I think, more powerful than than folks are giving you credit for. And ultimately, the numbers don't lie. I can't imagine any corporation walking away from piles of money sitting on the table. So
Yeah.
Let your voice be known, and let folks know that, you know, if there's something that you don't want to see, just don't watch it. You don't need to negatively engage, but you know, ultimately, you know, make your choice for yourself and try to not step on anybody else's loves in the process. If you can
Exactly. And Ray Porter, you said it so great, man. You know, just talking about like we don't have to put down somebody else's thing to remain positive. And
how much worse would the world be if we just allow people to like what they like? Do you know what great cost, what great tragedy would occur if you just allow people to like what they like?
Mm-hmm.
And on this issue, you know, on this particular thing, I think it's hard for anybody. It's hard for any individual to admit, yeah, maybe I was a little bit wrong there. Maybe I didn't do that correctly. Maybe I was wrong. That's hard.
Mhm.
At certain levels, to admit you were wrong can have a very real effect on your career. So there's a real cost there. I think, honestly, it's more a time thing. We are 1 week away from when this thing was released. Now, there's been a couple of gut punches. So I'm really not trying to. I try to be nice to mics.
Dropping that mic. Yeah, mics are our friends.
But we're 1 week away from this thing coming out. There's already been a couple of gut punches and a couple of things. And I think that it is honestly a matter of time. I choose to be optimistic about this, but I think time needs to pass so that it's more comfortable for people to acquiesce without admitting that they may have been wrong about something. To that end, I would say if you are someone who feels strongly about the Snyderverse and it continuing, positive, constructive tenacity.
Mhm.
Keep it positive, keep it constructive, and do not let go. I choose to be optimistic. I think it's a time thing more than anything else.
Yeah. That's what I've been encouraging people to do here. You know, like I said, because I'm fighting this battle in the trenches for you guys. Like I
appreciate it.
You guys got to know, man. The Poindexter Lounge is here for you. We started this as a place for nerds where people could come together and talk about the stuff that they love and just love the stuff. And look, I'm part of 2 fandoms in my life that are very divided. I am a Star Wars fan and I am a Superman fan. And nobody in those fandoms can agree on what they like. And what I always end every program with is, look, don't let anybody tell you that your fandom doesn't matter. And don't tell anybody that theirs doesn't matter. Right.
Correct.
But stay positive, stay the course. And that's what I've been telling people this last week with, like you said, all the little things that have come about. Time changes things. Right. Right after, you know, the 2017 movie came out, we were told that was it and it didn't perform as well as they wanted it to or whatever. That was a low time. Right. That was a very low time. And constantly being told by the people who knew better and knew more than us that it didn't exist. That's not how Hollywood works. Zack Snyder doesn't have a cut. There's no way he has a cut. There's no way he's kept what he had or whatever. And Zack kept putting out there, I got a cut. I've got a cut. And sometimes people don't know as much as they think they know. You know?
No.
And you guys are a great testament to that. I think it's awesome to have both a member of the Justice League in you, Ray Fisher, and even Darkseid being able to come together on this issue.
Absolutely.
That fans need to stay positive.
And the thing is, too, sometimes people get information that's not correct.
Yes.
Right. There are folks, you know, who may know certain people who are in the industry who are telling them certain things that are just not true and just not correct. And, you know, having somebody tell you something, I think to certain folks is like, all right, well, I'll take it as the gospel because I don't know anything else beyond what this person who's in a more or at least what I believe to be a more knowledgeable position than myself is telling me. So,
yeah,
you know, I would suggest to folks, very much like anything else you see in politics or any other kind of news, vet your movie news, vet your comic book news, vet any kind of intake of information that you're receiving, and that includes even with me in the Justice League situation. Please check for the. I encourage people to try to look at things as objectively as possible, because ultimately, I think misinformation ends up fueling a lot of that contention, right? Because once you commit, very much like Ray Porter said, once you commit to a certain idea, and then you have to sort of backtrack or say, hey, you know, maybe that was not.
Or even change course. Yeah.
You have to change course. It becomes much harder to do so, right?
Yeah.
But we can also, I think, help folks in trying to be a bit more gracious about allowing folks to change course.
That's exactly right.
And that's the thing that, insofar as Zack Snyder's Justice League goes, you know, having folks who have changed their opinion from, you know, I don't like Zack's movies, or, you know, Justice League was this, or, you know, this person is that, blah, blah, blah. Allowing them to change their opinion and just welcoming them with open arms rather than a sort of, haha, told you so. I think
do not be Darkseid.
Goes a long way.
I told you.
I told you. Why I don't kick his ass down the boom tube when he says that.
Well, you know, Steppenwolf wasn't able to speak, you know, for himself, which, by the way,
that's the other one. After crushing his head, you know, Darkseid says that it's like, this has been a rough week for my employees. You really want to go there?
Now, not only that, now that I think about it, his name is Steppenwolf, and the last thing we see is him getting stepped on.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, man.
Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen the movie.
That's right.
Oh man, yeah, it's a week out. It's over a week out. Like if you haven't seen it by this point, I'm sorry, but you know what? and if it's just because it's not available to you or something like that, we understand. But look,
hey, I hear.
But you'll still love it. Spoiler or not.
Summer, right? They're releasing. Is this what I'm hearing?
What's that?
Releasing it in theaters this summer
at some point, maybe this summer or this fall or something. I'm not
That'd
sure.
be good.
There's been some talk of it.
You want to show your love for the Snyderverse? Go out there, buy that DVD. I guarantee people will be looking. So I'm going to be purchasing at least this many.
Yes,
exactly. Me too. So I can have Ray Fisher sign one.
I'm signing them all.
There you go. Hey, one thing that I would love to see when you guys were talking about having Cyborg and Darkseid in the same, you know, Zoom meeting kind of thing.
Yeah,
one thing that I think would be awesome is the fact that both of you have shared your love of the theater, and you both have talked about how you've done the theater, like the theater in the park, kind of, you know, doing that kind of stuff. And I know that it's different, you know, when you're acting and you have to be on schedules and sets and everything like that, and especially with the pandemic being worldwide. But I've always thought that too, is how awesome would that be to have you guys, you know, Darkseid and Cyborg doing theater together. And if you went back to Portland, we have friends there that said, you're coming here and we've got to see this, because it would be epic.
In a heartbeat.
That'd be brilliant. That would be brilliant.
And I'll tell you what, I want to extend both. The other night, Tiffany was on. She's part of League of Mayhem with the Nerd Queens and Wonder Meg and all them. And you know,
I actually couldn't be on that one stream that Ray Porter was on because I had not gotten sleep the night before, wasn't feeling good, had to work, and to jump on that stream was going to be too much. But I wanted to still support it and be in by speaking. But apparently, by me just saying that, I call him my forever friend because he is so sweet and I'm so glad to get to know him. He's like, I just want to have dinner with you guys and just sit down with your family. And I was like, hey, we can invite Cyborg and we can have them be the entertainment.
You all are welcome.
I'd love to come around. Absolutely.
Yes. One day when hopefully the world gets back to a little bit of normalcy and you know.
Please, I got people whose hands I want to shake and hugs I want to give, you know? Wear a mask. If you have an opportunity to take the shot, take the damn shot.
Wear a mask.
We are inoculated here. We are all inoculated here.
One, so.
Wear a friggin' mask.
There you go.
Because I need to hug these two guys. So
Yeah.
mask up.
Absolutely. So, the one last thing, like I said, you guys are phenomenal in this movie. Congratulations to both of you. Kudos to both of you. I really hope that we get to see you guys again in some capacity, whether it be a theater released film, whether it be we get to see you guys on HBO Max in a different pocket of the multiverse. I don't care. I just want more of what you guys were throwing down, man, because it was absolutely amazing. But speaking of that, a couple of things. First of all, we've raised $806.
Woo!
Guys,
Fantastic.
Heck yeah.
It's great, but we need another 200, man, to get Ray to finish us out with his Darkseid voice.
$194.
$194.
You can do it.
You can do it. You got a couple of minutes with our last.
How does one prepare for the Darkseid voice?
Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, black leather.
That's awesome.
Cow now, brown cow.
That's a clip.
There you go.
Have you ever done The Leaf Police Dismisseth Us?
No, please.
Try that one. The
Leaf Police dismisseth us.
Us. The Leaf Police dismisseth us.
The Leaf Police dismisseth us. The Leaf Police dismisseth us.
It's hard.
Yes. I got one for you.
Okay. What you got?
Which wristwatch is the Swiss wristwatch?
Ooh.
Which wristwatch is the Swiss wristwatch?
There you go.
Ooh.
Give it a try.
We're up to 852. We're up to 852, folks.
Come on. $48.
Come on, get it to 900.
We'll give you all the actor tongue twister warm-ups you guys can handle.
We will give you so many. We'll do the one about plucking pheasants.
Yeah. I am a mother pheasant plucker.
I am a mother pheasant plucker. I pluck mother pheasants. I'm the most pleasant mother pheasant plucker that ever plucked a pheasant.
That is so going to be a drop. I'm sorry. That is so going to be a drop. That is amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Real quick, as we're waiting for it to get to 900, because if you guys get it to 900, we'll throw in the other 100 and we'll make sure that we go out with that.
Wait, Nash, I think you need to check the price.
Oh, wait, hold on. Did it? We are at. They did it. They raised $1,000.
Get out of here!
Yes!
Wow!
Bravo!
Wow!
Heck yeah! Wow. You have the best fandom ever.
Bravo!
That is fantastic.
That's
fantastic.
Wonderful.
Oh, what a blessing! What a blessing, guys!
Yeah.
Wow! Yes,
beautiful.
Yes, I'm so excited about that. I love this fandom, guys. We just had BVS Comes Home a couple of weeks ago here in Detroit, and we were all we all went in. We all we were separated. We did our thing and stuff, but man, we watched BVS the Ultimate Edition on the screen, and it was fantastic and raised money for suicide prevention. And I mean, I love this fandom. I love to see how these people have come together just for so many great purposes. And I'm grateful for that. Hey, Ray Fisher, can you tell us real quick? Because look, there's been people who are like, you're risking your career. You're never going to work again. What are you doing, Ray? But you're working, buddy. So why don't you tell us I know you're there right now.
I'm working on a show right now called Women of the Movement. And for both personal and professional reasons, I think it's one that came right on time. It's actually about influential Black women who helped in the civil rights movement. And the first season, because it's going to be an anthology, each season is going to focus on a different influential woman in the civil rights movement.
Oh, awesome.
The first season is about Mamie Till Mobley and her striving for justice after her son Emmett Till was murdered. So it's going to be powerful. It's going to be 6 episodes. They're really, really, really making sure that they get the story right. And it's being told by the right folks as well. We've got a lot of really awesome Black female directors that are on board with us here. We've got a Black female showrunner, Marissa Jo Sarar. This feels like a historic production. And so it's yeah, I feel good.
Congratulations.
And my thing is, insofar as folks saying, oh well, you're not going to work, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever it is that I'm potentially sacrificing, trust me, I've weighed the pros and cons with respect to what it is I'd be risking versus what it is I'd be gaining on the side of the fight for accountability. And you know, I always will err on that side if necessary. You know, and I think it's a good lesson for folks. I think to understand that, you know, in the pursuit of your dreams and your goals, you don't want to overlook other things that may be big problematic issues that you can help other people with. You know, I mean, Zack Snyder's Justice League, I thought in a lot of ways, and it feels in a lot of ways like the mountaintop. You know what I mean? It's like, where do you go from here? You know, I've lived my dream in its entirety with respect to being a part of this universe and being a part of this film, getting to meet and continue to meet awesome people like Ray, Zach, and obviously you all here as well as a result of, you know, the work. So if this is the only thing I'm blessed to do, I think I feel fulfilled, and I will be fulfilled probably for the rest of my life with respect to that. So I know this isn't the end of the journey by any stretch.
Hell no.
But if it is,
This is why we stand with you.
I appreciate it. Absolutely, if it is,
man.
just know I'm going out on the highest note possible. So, you know, that's all I can say to that.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah.
Man, what a great night. What a great night from you guys. Thank you guys so much for all you're doing. Thank you guys for what you mean to the fans and for being accessible and you know what, and just for being great people.
Yeah.
Like you guys have encouraged me in your own ways. I mean, Ray Porter, you've made me cry over my love for my wife and just knowing that I care so much for her by sharing.
I gave him a song to listen to and then play for his wife.
I was going to say, did I miss this? I missed the tears.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, he gave me this song the last time Ray was on.
We were hanging out after for a long time, just talking about everything. And at one point he was talking about just how much Tiff means to him and his love for her, and just kept on. And it reminded me of this song by Jason Isbell, and called Vampires. And I said, look this song up, and he sent me a text later like, thanks, dude, made me cry.
He did, man. I was like, oh, it's like, how could a song called Vampires make me cry over the love I have for my wife? My goodness. But and Ray Fisher, man, you've been such an inspiration. Just watching you this last year and just watching you stand in the face of adversity, and we've been proud to stand with you here. And man, I'm blessed by you.
I appreciate it. And you know, my thing is, I think people make it out to be in certain ways a much larger gesture than I feel it internally to be. Ultimately, I don't like bullies. I never have. And I don't like people being treated poorly in the workplace. It's not anything that, you know, I stood for at any of the jobs I've had prior to coming into Hollywood. And it's not anything I'm going to stand for even in this, you know, regardless of regardless of whatever it is that may seem that one can gain from, you know, association being in Hollywood and all that sort of stuff. Like, I got into this because I like people. I like the collaborative effort, you know, that is put into all this. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's what I'm going to remember from all of this, is the joy from the creation of the thing and the people I was blessed to meet. So I told some folks, I said, look, if you want to support what it is that I stand for, you know, or what I'm trying to stand for, you know, just try to look out for the people around you, you know, make sure that they're not being mistreated if you can in whatever way you feel comfortable doing. Every little bit helps.
That's what struck me so much about your journey and what you've been doing is this could very well make the difference so that this never happens to someone again.
Yep.
Somebody coming up behind you, that this kind of thing does not occur to them. And so, you know, so shines a good deed in a naughty world.
I can dig it. And I believe because we hit that $1,000 mark, right?
It's time for
we had 1100.
you to put me out of a job.
All right. We're good. You know, and I gotta say, you know, Ray Porter, you gave me a song that made me cry, and I put you both in my song. I put you guys in my song. The Snyder Cut associate producer. I sent it to you, Ray Fisher. I don't know if you heard it or not, but
I don't think I have heard it.
I'll resend it to you. I'll resend you the link because you guys are all in it, and you got a whole verse, Mr. Fisher. You got a whole verse, man, about Borg life, and about how we support you, man. So I definitely want to hear you. Last time you were on, you said send me some music, and so I want you to hear it, man.
Let me look through my emails because I may have it there. Sometimes I get bogged down with
man.
The cybernetic side of what I'm supposed to be doing. So shout out.
Yeah, man, you sound great in it too. You sound great in it. But yes, okay. So now, ladies and gentlemen, you have done it.
The whole camera on me.
You are the man of the hour, sir.
But hold on. I got the Snyderverse has been found, Darkseid, and I will stop at nothing to possess it.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah!
I am out of a job. Nice, man.
Awesome.
Now we
the multiverse and something.
Darkseid.
Oh my God!
William.
Tiffany, did he just literally say something Darkseid?
Yes, he did, and that just made my night.
It's a Family Guy thing that we joke about all the time. That's a Star Wars Family Guy thing where he does the Emperor. And he's like something Darkseid, something complete. That's Star Wars dialogue.
Love it.
Oh well, Ray Porter.
Yeah.
You are Darkseid, so I think that it's all
Please.
fair. Just as we go out,
you do the critique.
as we get ready to go out. You know, you're free and clear now, right? Because we've heard the voice. I mean, can you give us a little? I don't know if you can.
I mean, I suppose so. You know,
No
dueling Darksides. Dueling Darksides. Okay.
I like it. Sounds like a show.
You have fought through years of adversity. Maintain your positive, constructive tenacity and restore the Snyderverse.
Hey, come on!
Oh!
My hat on.
I got chills.
Take it off.
There it is, sir. You just go ahead and take it right there.
all right. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh,
Come
guys!
on.
Oh wow,
Yep.
you guys are amazing.
I like
You guys
Ray better.
No. Chill.
Hey, man, we raised $1,000 for AFSP.
almost $1,200,
Yeah.
before, and there's more coming in, and we're gonna leave this thing going beyond even this stream, so you guys can donate.
Zach was 100% right when he mentioned a while back. You have literally saved lives.
Mm-hmm.
This means something. I don't care what you're donating. You're leaving the world a little bit better than you found it. That should be the goal of anybody.
Yes.
My hat's off to you, and I congratulate you.
Yes, and this is a little something that we put at the Superman Museum for Zach, and I think it speaks volumes here. There on the walkway at the Superman Museum in Metropolis, Illinois, that simply says, "If you seek his monument, look around you." To the family of Zach and Deborah Snyder, Poindexter Lounge, and your many associate producers. Zach, thank you. I hope to have Zach on one day and be able to thank him personally, but thank you, Zach, for your vision. Thank you for your family's tenacity and encouraging us all and giving us all something so amazing in the Snyder Cut. And these guys in these roles that will live, like, no matter what happens from here, these guys will live in infamy. And like you said, Ray Fisher, the last time you were here, it's up for the fans to decide what's canon and what's not canon.
Ultimately,
Damn
and
straight.
in a multiverse,
Hey, anything is possible.
anything.
There you go.
Absolutely. And for Autumn.
For
Absolutely. 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 Well, hey, thanks to everyone who has joined us tonight. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you to everyone who donated and spoke in the chat. And you can go back through this chat and just see all the love for both of you guys. And thank you guys for taking the time out. Like I said, man, when this all stuff clears up,
all you had to say was Ray's going to be there, and I was like, oh, hell yeah!
It's funny because that's
You had me at Ray.
You had me at Ray. Yes,
I had the right angle. Like,
by the way, Ray, did you see the picture that somebody posted in Times Square of the big Justice League billboard?
You know, I've been getting photos from folks in New York anytime they pass any sort. Yeah, and I saw the whole.
There's the one in Times Square right above a Ray's Pizza.
Yeah, that's right in Midtown, man.
That's right.
That's awesome.
I was like, of course, when I'm not like in New Jersey and in New York, of course, that's when they put up all the stuff.
Right, of course.
Normally going.
That's me.
You know, but it's all good. Hopefully, it sticks around for a couple more weeks because I'll be back soon enough. So, if not, I can prove it was there. People
billboard people, leave it up.
Yeah,
leave it up.
I don't care how many more thousands it costs to leave.
Come on, billboard people, leave it up.
To leave those billboards up. Just another week. Just hold on till I get there.
Restore the Ray billboard verse.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Look. We'll at this point, we'll just keep fighting for everything. Just
there you go.
All of it. Just give me all of it. That's
I'm fighting to see this thing in theaters first chance I get in this environment. And I know some folks have seen it in IMAX already. And like
I did.
Yeah. Ray saw it in IMAX, and I'm super jealous.
Yes, me too.
I want to go. I want to go and smell popcorn and watch it with a bunch of people. I want to go to cons and see people and shake hands and hug and come on.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So wear your mask so we can get back to the fun stuff around with with one another.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Well, hey guys. For the unity of the fandom and for everyone. Again, I can't express enough to you guys how much I've loved having you guys here tonight, and y'all are welcome back anytime. Ray, when your show's coming out, we'd love to have you back on. Ray Fisher, when your show's coming out.
Your show going to be on, Ray Fisher?
That's going to be on ABC. So I believe it's going to air as well as be available for streaming after the fact. So there was one thing I did want to say, and maybe this is an idea for our HBO Max of it all. And I don't want to get into a whole nother hour-long conversation because I'm sure we could. It would be wild. It would be really crazy to see Darkseid's history after that defeat, right? Because from what Zach has said, I think on social, from what I'm seeing, is that the betrayal of Steppenwolf and the other folks happened when Darkseid is away on his conquest to find the anti-life. And so, seeing like what happened between that initial defeat on Earth, and him coming back into that power and having to deal with the usurpers and all that, how crazy a thing would that be? How crazy.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And now that we've said that, I'm sure we'll be talking for another 45 minutes about the implications of what that could be. But I mean, I said it before, it's like this film is an 8-lane, at the very least, 8-lane superhighway, right? There's nothing cul-de-sac.
Brilliant image.
About it.
It's a cul-de-sac. It's a cul-de-sac to keep going and give us the rest of it.
And with a cul-de-sac, all that does is it's a sharp careen, so you can do a jump off a wall and slice off somebody's head and then keep moving.
Yes.
That's a cul-de-sac. It goes around one time, and you come out and just get back to the action.
Damn right.
So,
heck yeah. Heck yeah.
That would be like my heart would like skip a million beats if we could get that kind of like all Darkseid coming back into his own and having to suffer the defeat and just the hierarchy, because Darkseid's not even at his fully realized power yet. Okay. Well, sorry.
Oh, I know, right? It's just but and I'd be remiss, Ray Porter, if I didn't say I love your cameo.
Oh yes.
In the movie.
Yeah, that was great.
Perfect place for you, man. Perfect place for you.
Well, I do kind of have that look. Yeah, those clothes seem to suit me.
Oh,
Did you get to keep them?
Huh? I didn't get to keep them.
Oh man, that would have been an awesome.
I didn't get to keep them. That was that was a fun day.
I bet you they still have them though.
I'm sure they do.
You probably wouldn't want to put it back on. It's probably all.
I guarantee you, I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, I barely wanted to before because it had been pulled from stock. So I'm like, wow,
gotcha.
old actor sweat. Yay.
Yeah, nothing like it.
Yeah.
No.
I'll tell you what, speaking of costumes real quick, and I know I don't want to get onto another thing either, but Ray Fisher, like a couple years ago, I got to go out to Warner Brothers and do the studio tour and all that stuff. And they had the Justice League exhibit there with all of the costumes and all this. And I've showed pictures of it, and they got every Batmobile there, and I make all my friends feel, like really jealous of me anytime, I was on a stream with somebody and they were talking about the Batmobile. And I was like, oh, this one. And I shared that one. I was like, oh, I got this one too. And I got this one and I got this one and I got this one. But I took pictures also with all the costumes. And obviously there's not a costume there for you, Ray, but to see that life-size statue of you, man,
you know, cybernetics.
Yes, with the cybernetics and the recreation of that. I mean, and just getting up and close to the Flash suit and the intricacy of the Flash suit and all that's in there and the wires that hold it together and all those like stuff that you don't really see on the screen, up close like that, but to be standing right there next to it, man, everybody on these movies have done such a great job to bring these characters to life. And that's why we're so passionate about it. That's why we're so passionate about it.
I am really looking forward to Halloween.
Oh,
I want to see a kid in a cyborg costume.
You're going to see a grown man in a cyborg costume.
I will give you some candy. It'll be all right.
Go on Twitter.
You can show up here at the lounge, man. We'll give you all the candy.
I can't wait to see the Darkseids, man, because now that folks have an actual visual representation of it, you already know people are going to be like, let's go.
Again, gotta go for the cosplay, man. We gotta go to a con.
Yep.
Yeah, done.
Yes.
Done. Say
Gotta
no more.
see it.
Heck yeah. Well, I hope you guys get up to Michigan at our Motor City Comic Con at some point, but even not, like I said, make a trip on up here, man. We'd love to have you, or Ray, you can make a trip on over from where you're at. It's not too far away, and we'll
meet in the middle. Yeah,
we'll do it up. Well, I'll take you on a
road trip
on a trip around the toy room and around the lounge, and you can see our whole house is like this, guys. Like this is my room, this room, but like our living room is filled with DC and Star Wars, and I mean just
magic, man.
It is, man.
The
little kids come over here. Little kids come over here and they're just enthralled with what we show them.
Parents on the block. Are you kidding?
And that's the kind of vibe that we try to set, man. And that's why I Tiffany, I gotta ask you, babe.
Yes.
Like, did you ever think that we would be sitting here literally with Ray Fisher and Ray Porter, like having a conversation about Zack Snyder's Justice League when literally in 2017 we got home from Justice League and we sat here with our kids right here doing our little take on the movie and stuff, and we just started our channel not too long after that, and we're just giving our little review of it when that's all we thought there was. And here we are, man, 4 years later.
Race.
Blessed.
No.
And
guys, come true.
And Ray Porter, you're absolutely right. This woman right here, she's the love of my life. She's absolutely fabulous. And I can tell you all watching, she's just as nerdy as the rest of us. We got 3 boys, but I tell you what, she's more excited about this stuff sometimes than even I like I'll see something and maybe I knew it was coming out already or whatever. And I love to see her. She just gets excited about it. And
we have a show called The Boys that we like. And I went into GameStop and I couldn't not get them.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
All of them.
Is that the whole crew from The Boys?
It is.
Wow.
The only one that's missing is like Homelander with the red eyes.
Okay.
So I had to get them. So I told my husband, I'm like, pay no attention to the bank account because I had to get some toys.
The discretionary spending, so now let me ask you this because I'm kind of new to this whole world. So GameStop is a good place to go for things of this nature.
Yes,
there's video games, but they also do collectibles. They do statuettes. They do pop vinyls. They do.
Do they do the McFarlanes there?
Enosh, do they do the
Yes,
McFarlane?
yes, they do. Yeah,
I
they do
thought that
McFarlane.
they do
All right,
for
I'll
the
look,
different-
I'll look at GameStop.
Which by the way, you guys are costing me a lot in McFarlane toys. Can I just say that? Because I love the McFarlane toys, but oh my gosh. I mean, like I already got the old Mattel wave of, Cyborg, and I got all those cyborgs and everything. And I show you, and I always have my cyborg.
Oh, cool.
I
Is that
always
Mother
got.
Box Cyborg? That
No,
Walmart
it's
one?
not. I don't have a Mother Box Cyborg. It is Mother
No, I
Box
was gonna
Cyborg.
say
Yeah,
the
I'm sorry.
Walmart one I think is
Yeah,
the
you're
Mother
right.
Box one.
Yeah, you're right. And then I got my my BVS. Those are
Oh,
right
that's
here.
dope.
Those are just the ones that are right here next to me. But I got a Doomsday back
Amazing.
there and a bunch of other stuff. But you
Oh,
guys
that's
have cost
awesome.
them. You guys with your great characters and your new takes on stuff. Like now I had to have Forearm Cyborg, and I had to
heck
have
yeah.
the dude Ray Fisher. Let me tell you something, man. Watching you take that flight. Good Lord, man. That was so symbolic on so many levels, man. To watch you soar like that through the sky, do the loop de loop, man, come back around towards the camera. I was, after having talked to you and having you been here and everything, I was beaming from ear to ear, just happy for you, man. I was so happy for you
that your story got told.
that your story got told, because you are the heart, man.
I appreciate you saying it. I mean, my thing is, it's a team effort. It really is. Like, I appreciate folks becoming more aware of who Cyborg is and his struggles and his journey and his overcoming. And that 10-minute sequence that we see about Cyborg's origin, I think, really, really helps in a very short amount of time catch people up on where the character is. And that's masterful storytelling. That's only 10 minutes of the 240 some odd minutes of this film, right? And that, I appreciated, the story being told a little bit more through the lens of Cyborg, but for me, it's still a team film. It's about all these folks having to come together to make something incredible happen, right?
Personally, though, the great joy for me in watching it on the TV that you told me to buy was to see your performance and to celebrate you as a man and celebrate you as an actor.
I appreciate that.
And it was a privilege to watch you.
Well, we celebrate both of you. And Ray Porter, all I will say is with San Diego Comic-Con going down, I am really hoping to get that armored Darkseid, because I got the bare-chested Darkseid coming, but that one was supposed to be a San Diego Comic-Con.
Have you seen the Weta Workshop Darkseid?
There's another one.
What?
Weta Workshop did a 1/4 scale Darkseid.
Just take my wallet. Darkseid for the unity.
Yeah.
For the unity.
Of him sat on his throne. I can't afford him.
The Weta
Workshop Darkseid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to look that up
I gotta
now.
check this
Yeah.
out. My problem is like, I find it kind of strange for me to like walk around the house like looking at statues of me, or posters of me, and I'm just like, Mom, can you like put that elsewhere? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I can tell you this, man. I can tell you this. There are plenty of ladies in the chat who would have no problem walking around their houses looking at statues and posters.
I appreciate it.
And probably some guys in here too that would probably have no. Look, I mean, look. We've got statues and posters of you. So I mean, and I walk around looking at those. I mean, don't want to make it weird, but I mean, like
You kind of have one behind you, babe.
Yeah, right. I know. I only have. Well, I mean, that's not. I mean, that's the Injustice one, but it's the thought is there. The thought is there. So,
listen,
but
thank you all again. Obviously, Ray,
yeah.
I love you, brother.
So much fun. I love you too, man.
And Enosh, Tiff, thank you for having us here. I'm sure this will not be the last time we speak.
No.
Hopefully it is not.
I hope not.
Do my damnedest to make sure that it's not. And thank you for continuing to stay such positive forces in this fandom, in this community, and
Absolutely.
for the world to a larger extent. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we close out the night with a video that has been sent by the fans for this event for suicide prevention and the hashtag Us United thing. And so there's people who recorded their love for Zach and for everyone involved. And so thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone who put on this event and brought us all together. And yes, we're better together. Hashtag Us United. And let's keep on. You guys have done a tremendous job tonight, raising almost $1,200 for
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that warms my heart, man. That makes me so happy and inspired. So thank you guys for doing that. And remember, like I always say, don't let anybody tell you that your fandom doesn't matter, and don't tell anybody that their fandom doesn't matter. But remember, try to have conversations, try to strengthen each other and sharpen each other as iron sharpens iron. And if you do that and you stay positive, there'll always be a place for all of you here in the Poindexter Lounge. Until next time, thank you guys. Stay awesome and stay nerdy. We'll see you guys.
I'm Shivajit Raj from Kolkata, and I am a long-term DC fan and now Snyder fan also. From the very start of Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition release, and then slowly coming together to form a group, to form a community, and then finally having our own fight, and lastly to see the Zack Snyder Justice League in its full glory. I want to just say that I'm happiest person in the world, just because Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder and all their family members got a closure, at least in some form, and they could do this.
Hello, Zack and fellows. Here is Ulysses from Hong Kong. Thank you for what you have been done for the Afsp, and thank you for the big epic movies you have made. This means to everyone. Hope, faith, love is always the important part of the life equation, especially for the hard time with this global pandemic. I suffered from anxiety before. The success of this movement double confirmed that hope is always here, even it is in the narrow corridors. Thanks.
Hey guys, greetings from India. I've been a fan of Zack ever since I watched 300 for the first time. I simply fell in love with his work. Man of Steel is my most favorite movie of all time. I watch it when I'm happy, I watch it when I'm sad. In the past, whenever I was in a tough situation in my life, that movie filled me with positivity, with hope that there will always be a better tomorrow, and it made me realize that I need to work for it. And I just want to say thank you, Zack, thank you, Debbie, thank you to everyone involved in making Zack Snyder's Justice League a reality, because you have worked tirelessly for months, and you deserve to be appreciated for that. That's why on behalf of all the fans, I say thank you, we love you.
Hey Zack, I hope you are doing well. Huge fan from Egypt and a big supporter since the day one. I have been fighting all along for this movie, and the dream has come. Your work has meant to me a lot of love, passion, sympathy, and a true thank to you for your dedication and hard work in completing Zack Snyder's Justice League. Thank you, Zack Snyder. Thank you.
Frankly, I have no words to describe what Zack Snyder's work, not only his films, but his charity work, means to me.
Hello, Mr. Zack Snyder. My name is Joshua, and I'm a huge fan of your work from Honolulu, Hawaii. I wrote a little message here for you, so please bear with me while I read it aloud. I want to wish you and your wife, Deborah, and the rest of your family great health, happiness, safety, and prosperity for the rest of your lives. May God bless you and continue to watch over you and your family. I wanted to congratulate you on your Justice League. I thought it was a beautiful and epic cinematic masterpiece. I found myself laughing, crying, cheering, and jumping for joy. I want to let you know that your cause through AFSP means the world to me. I'm so glad I was able to contribute and be a part of something so beautiful, organic, authentic, and inspiring. I've been anticipating your film since Man of Steel was first announced. The DCEU has been my personal favorite franchise growing up, and you did my heroes justice. I hope you will consider looking into adapting my favorite computer games to live action on the big screen as well, Max Payne 1 and 3 and Half-Life. You would be perfect. In closing, thank you so much for your dedication, passion, perseverance, and the love you put into creating my favorite comic book movie of all time. Mahalo.
Hi Zack, I just want to say thank you for working so hard and giving us a true sequel to Batman v Superman. I really enjoyed watching the story arcs of each League members and how they go through their emotional journeys and how they overcome it. I'm forever grateful to witness the completion of your intended version of the Justice League.
Hello, Zack Snyder. I want to say thank you for the Zack Snyder Justice League on 18 March. And I cannot wait to see the whole story of Justice League from you. Because when I know about the whole story, about the behind the scene, so I decided to support the movement, release the Snyder Cut. And I'm really happy. I cannot wait to see all this story on the Justice League on 18 March. Please.
I'm Shobhan Parasta from India. I'm a member of DC community of Bengal. I love Zack Snyder. I love his films. I think Zack Snyder is a visionary director and one of the all-time greats. I find his films to be visual masterpieces. Each scene is intricately carved and made with passion, and that shows. His demon characters are so powerful and inspiring. Zack Snyder, it shows that he really understands the comics. He knows the character, he deconstructs them and puts them into modern tropes which are so inspiring, so fulfilling. Superman, Batman, Cyborg, Flash, Wonder Woman, and I love the level of depth of the mental health issues his films touch on. Thank you, Zack Snyder, for giving us the Snyderverse. Restore the Snyderverse. Us united.
What's up, Zach? I just wanted to thank you for changing my life with your movies. I saw 300 when I was in high school, and that was just like the first time I was blown away by a movie. And I grew up in the 90s as a massive Superman fan, and there wasn't a whole lot of material out there for us. And you changed all that with Man of Steel. And then when BVS came out, my favorite movie of all time, I was just blown away, and I loved it. And I saw it early because we went to a screening of that trailer, and you gave everyone a free ticket. And when Justice League came out, I was just heartbroken. You held SnyderCon. I live in New Jersey. I flew across the country. I needed to meet you. I needed to see what was going on and ask you the question: does Zack Snyder's Justice League exist? And it does. I'm gonna watch it in 2 days. We did it. I knew something had to be done. We all did, and we all came together. And I thank you for that. Now it's my life. I got Farnsworth House from BVS hanging behind me in my apartment. I'm excited for what's to come. Restore the Snyderverse.
This is the first time where I saw Dawn of the Dead. The first time I saw Zack Snyder's film. Now we released the Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut was released. We all did it. And to say that I'm happy, it's beyond words. Because what does Zack Snyder's Justice League mean to me? Well, as someone who is also part of this film industry, as someone who is an actor, who helps others that make their own films, Zack's films has taught me that I gotta do things with my heart, with my passion. Because when I put my heart and my passion out there, people will see it, and people will like it, and people don't fight for you because they agree with what you put out. Powerful art can heal. Zack's okay. And it healed all of us. And in turn, healed him. Because look at what happened. Biggest thing, I didn't expect it. I did not expect any of this. And now, Zack is that thing we're talking about. So we gotta do something else. Restore Snyderverse. Now, I'm gonna go watch a movie.